Hello, everyone. Just a quick voice check.
I can hear you, Tolga.
Okay, perfect.
I can also hear you very well.
Great.
I can also hear you.
Perfect.
I can hear you as well, Tolga.
Okay, that's all good then. We can start our e-conference today. I would like to welcome all of you as our presenters today, and also our audience who are watching it on our website, internationalresidency.com, and Uzakroto YouTube channel. This is the first time we are trying this e-conference or webinar, or how do you call it, trend away? I don't know, but hope it will be very informative and everybody will get the most out of it. Today, we will be covering the residency and citizenship by investment programs and European Union Golden Visa programs, some economic residency programs in Europe, and we will have a total 10 speakers presenting their topic, their country programs from 8 to 10 different countries all around the world, from Europe to Vancouver, Canada. And I know we have audience today as well from many different countries. So the first part, the first section of our e-conference will be covering the EU Golden Visa programs. We will have 3 country programs to cover at this section. The number 1 program is Greece Golden Visa. Number 2, we will be covering the Portugal Golden Visa program. And the last, Malta Golden Visa, also so-called Mrvp program. And we will have 2 speakers for the Greece Golden Visa. One, Ismini Zoero from Enterprise Greece, the official government agency overlooking to Golden Visa program, and she will be covering the Greece Golden Visa from a government point of view and share us with some statistics. And then we have Sotiris Michael from Simesco Real Estate, more professional perspective. He will be sharing with us some property information, some geographic information in Greece. And then we will have John Green from Vancouver. He will be discussing about the Portugal Golden Visa. And last in this section, Ryan Darmanin, he will be talking about Malta Residence and Visa Program. And I would like to invite Ismini first on stage to make her presentation. Ismini, could you please turn on your video and mic, and then you can start your presentation.
Okay, I'm on.
Yes, please go ahead. You can navigate between slides on the Navigator button at the bottom, or just clicking with slides.
Okay.
Now you can start.
Thank you, Tolga. I'm very glad to be here again today among all of you after the very successful event in December. So we're going to do a follow-up, as I understand, today. As we know, the last 3 months are very difficult. We face a very difficult situation. It is fact that the COVID-19 outbreak is, of course, a human tragedy and has a growing impact on the global economy. The restrictions applied to populations among the world to stop the spread of the virus have produced massive fallout for the world economy. Residency and citizenship programs are a huge income generator for most countries offering. That's why and as the coronavirus crisis continues, several countries are taking positive steps in adapting their processing methods in order to move forward with applications, both old and new. Greece is also one of the countries that is changing its procedures for that. I don't know if you know that the operation of the Aliens and Immigration Department at the decentralized authorities was temporarily suspended. At this time, the applications could also the Ministry of I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. So the Ministry for Migration and Asylum could also accept applications, and this will happen until the end of June. One other thing that Greece is doing is that is trying to digitalize the process. We have the online appointment, and we also try to have the applications online. For this we will need some time, but we think that next month everything will be on, also appointment and application. Let me remind you some things about the Greek Golden Visa program. One of the most competitive and attractive programs in Europe, with the lowest amount. I'm sorry, Tolga, how do I change the slides? Okay, but how can I do it by myself?
On the right-hand side, you will see the slides. You can click each slide, or at the bottom, there is a navigator arrow, so you can click those arrows.
I cannot find that. I will try. I cannot change.
Do you see the slides on the right-hand side?
I have the slides in front of me.
Okay, just click.
Okay, I think that you will have to do it.
At the bottom of the program, you see the navigator arrows showing the pages. You can click just on next slide. Or I can do it with you, no problem.
Please, because I cannot find it. I don't know why.
Okay.
But I cannot find it. The Greek Golden Visa program, let me remind you some things. It gives a permanent, again, I'm sorry, but I don't have a clear image of the slides.
Okay, do you see that?
Okay, so it gives a permanent residence permit to non-EU citizens and their families who purchase a property or implement an investment project in Greece. We also have a new option, which is a residence permit with a purchase of intangible assets, and this amount is over 400,000 euros. For the first two options of purchase property and investment activity, the amount is 250,000 euros. The residence permit gives the right to permanently reside in Greece and to travel and stay at 26 European countries for 3 months every semester. Can you change please? Okay, first of all, is the residence permit with a purchase of the real estate property. Here is some facts I want to remind you that you can reside in Greece without time restrictions. You can travel to 26 European Schengen area countries and reside for up to 3 months every semester to these countries. There is no language requirement. There is no minimum personal income requirement. You have access to the Greek education and healthcare system, allegedly to Greek citizens. The prices in real estate assets are very competitive. There are no restrictions to the number and type of the properties. High rental yields for quality properties. This residence permit can lead to citizenship under specific conditions. And the application can be made, of course, through a proxy after the initial entry of the applicant in the country. Due to coronavirus, the initial entry, we don't know what is going to happen. For now, this hasn't changed, but the government is thinking about that. So let's see about the numbers of the program. As of May 22nd, a total of 7,550 residence permits have been issued since the commencement of the program. Let me tell you here that 2019 was a very good year for the program, since 3,172 permits were issued only this year, 2019. So it was a very good year. You can see that China is, of course, in the first place with 5,504 permits. This is the percentage of the Chinese people is increasing. It has now reached 72%. In December, it was 67. Of course, we know that this happens because China does not recognize dual nationality. So Chinese people, they're reaching residence permit in order to visit and stay in Europe freely. In second place is Turkey, Russia, then Lebanon, Egypt, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Ukraine, and Syria in 10th place. And of course, the number of the residence permit with their family members is also increasing to 22,505 residence permits have been issued to the real estate owners and their family members since the commencement of the program. Again, you can see how China is in front with 16,633 residence permits. Let me tell you some few words for the real estate market. Give me one moment, please. So, the overall recovery of the real estate market is largely associated with boosting domestic demand from individuals and business through establishment and expansion in new spaces and properties. This is estimated to be a progressive procedure. During the first 11 months of 2019, the real estate market has been growing mainly from an investment point of view. Despite the significant local variations, prospects are now improving across the market, with prices rising dramatically in high-demand areas. The housing market during the first 9 months showed signs of progressive improvement, though there is still considerable heterogeneity in house price changes on a local level basis. Based on accumulated estimations by credit institutions, in the first 9 months of 2019, apartment prices were up 7.4% year-on-year, against a 1.3% increase in the corresponding period of 2018. Shortages of quality supply with an aging stock aside, allied with higher demand expected in the short term, are likely to fuel rent hikes. Having that as a fact, there is probability for slight yield compression as investor interest intensifies for quality schemes. There are some newly introduced changes or amendments that significantly support an investor choice for Greece. These latest reforms first of all, we have a new non-dom regime is introduced, providing for an alternative way of taxing income. There is abroad for individuals transferring their tax residence to Greece, non-dom, subject to some conditions, some specific conditions. There is a further reduction of NFIA principal tax to 8% for 2020. Then a new tax credit is being introduced as a percentage of the expenses made for aesthetic, functional, and energy upgrade of buildings. There is a suspension of the capital gains tax on sale for real estate, 15%. Tax on capital gains from the transfer of immovable property is further suspended by 3 years until the 31st of December of 2022. The imposition of VAT on the transfer of new building is suspended until 31st December of 2022. In such cases, the relevant real estate transfers will be subject to real estate transfer tax. The second option is the residence permit for investment activity. The investment activity, again, has to be above 250,000 euros. The investment should have a positive impact on Greece's national economy. And the residence permit has to be renewed every 5 years. Any time of investment, greenfield or brownfield, of at least 250,000 euros, as I told you. We think that this is a very good option, but an option that still needs a boost, because 250,000 euros for an investment plan is a very good amount. It has you only need a business plan that you have to submit. It's an easy procedure. Please keep that, Tolga. Greece offers unique investment opportunities in a variety of sectors. That's why this option is so good. Tourism, agri-food, energy, logistics, ICT, life sciences, so many opportunities here in Greece for investment. The third and newly option is the residence permit with a purchase of intangible assets. This is a very, very new option. It offers many sub-options that you can invest to. Invest in a company which is registered in the Greek stock market, a real investment company, RAIC, a closed-end investment company. You can purchase Greek government bonds, or you can have a term deposit at the domestic credit institution. All these options are at 400,000 euros. I think that this procedure for these options is very, very easy, very simple. We also, for these options, there are 3 more options. Can you please, Tolga, change the slide? You can purchase shares, corporate bonds, or Greek government bonds, and then shares of an alternative investment fund, or in a mutual fund incorporated in Greece or another country, and with scope to invest exclusively in shares, corporate bonds, and or Greek government bonds. For this option, we have, as Enterprise Greece, we prepared a guide. I don't know if you're familiar, if you know, but Enterprise Greece has 2 guides for the real estate option and the investment activity. They are very good guides. And we also now have the third one, Unfortunately, now only in Greek, but in the next days, this guide will also be available in English. You can find it in our website. So why Greece? Let's see what Greece did the last 3 months facing the pandemic, the COVID-19. Greece is among the best performers in the world, holding down the number of cases and deaths, with the lowest spread of the virus per 100,000 inhabitants. Greece took early, drastic action, going into full lockdown on March 16, 13 days after its first coronavirus case was confirmed. Tax financing and rent relief measures for enterprises, freelancers, and personal business were taken. Greek airports now, the last 5 days, are reopening to international traffic. The last 5 days open only for domestic flights, and then the next days will open for international traffic. From June 15, Greece will allow the entrance without quarantine of incoming tourists, initially from 20 countries chosen based on epidemiological criteria. This list will be announced of the countries in the next few days. So, as you can see, Greece, fortunately, did good in this pandemic situation. Now we are trying to make more improvements in the Golden Visa program in order to help the non-EU citizens to come more easily here in Greece. We think that in the next 5 or 6 months lately, that this procedure will be even more fast and easy.
Thank you very much, Ismini. It was great insight from the government point of view, and you shared the updates for the program. And again, thanks for joining us. And now you can turn off your mic and video.
Thank you.
I would like to invite now Sotiris Michael from Simvesco Real Estate, and he will present some real estate options in Greece. Sotiris.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. We've heard this Ismini about Greece. I will present to you Greece as well and the Greek Golden Visa program. Greece is a European country located at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa. Fully member of the European Community since 1981 and Eurozone since 2001. Greece economy is based on 4 main industries: tourism, real estate, trade, and agriculture. Greece is a democratic country with a high quality of life and a population of almost 12 million citizens. Greece is also the birthplace of democracy, philosophy, Olympic Games, political science, major scientific and mathematical principles, and theater. I will tell you some things about Simvesco, our company in Greece. Who we are. Simvesco is a real estate company which provides professional consultation and valuable advice regarding real estate acquisition in Greece. We focus on high net worth individuals who are interested in acquiring a property in Greece or in the islands, either for personal issues or for an investment. We also aim to establish long-term relationships with our clients. And that's why we provide them the best possible services before, during, and of course, after the purchase. Being in a new place and willing to buy a new property is a very demanding and stressful process. That's why we are here. In 2013, the Greek government introduced the Greek residency program to encourage the investments in Greece and provide to non-European investors the benefit of being holder of the permanent residency card by 4 simple steps. The procedure, step number 1 is to visit Greece and enter the country with a valid visa from the country of origin. Step number 2, choose the preferred property. The applicant must acquire a property for a minimum amount of 250,000 euros plus the applicable taxes and VAT where it's applied. The property must be kept for a lifetime if you wish to be a holder of the residency card. Step number 3 is the submission of the application. The applicant must collect all the required documents such as health insurance certificate, valid passport, birth certificate, pay the application fees, and then submit the application. Step number 4 is the final verification. Once the application has been verified and approved, the applicant will visit Greece for biometric capturing and for collecting the golden visa. As you all can see, it's a very simple and very straightforward process. Assuming that all conditions are fulfilled, in 40 to 60 days, you will be granted with a permanent residency card. The key benefits now for the program are the main applicant can include his spouse, minor children, and children under the age of 21, and elder parent from both sides without any additional financial criterion. Greece is an official fully member of the Schengen zone, which means that the main applicant and all the family can travel to Schengen zone countries visa-free. The children can attend to local schools and universities. You are not allowed to work, but you can set up your own business. You are not obliged to reside or visit Greece. You can rent your property and benefit from the rental income. And also, after 7 years, you are entitled to apply for citizenship under certain conditions. As mentioned above, the Greek Golden Visa leads to citizenship, and the conditions are to have a good knowledge of the Greek language, to integrate smoothly into the economic and social life of the country, and to be able to participate actively and effectively in the political life of the country, respecting the fundamental principles underpinning. Remember that flexibility is the key to stability, and that's what the aforesaid program can provide you. Europe is a place of free movement of ideas, people and capital. and that's why you can earn from the. That's exactly what you can earn from the Greek residency program: diversity of movements. On our presentation now, I will show you some properties that some of our clients have already bought, and also some other projects that we are also shareholders as well. And you can see that we have many properties in almost all the islands of Greece, and also, of course, in Athens. These are the properties that the clients for the Golden Visa are preferred to. We have many options for the investors at the variety of the prices, depends for their needs, as you can see. And as mentioned earlier, we check the requests from the clients, and we act accordingly regarding their needs.
Sotiris, I have a question here.
Yes, Tolga.
Where do your clients mostly buying properties?
That's why the properties that we have on the presentation, mostly the most requests comes to the islands of Greece, but we also have many requests in the center of Athens, where the investment can be easily rented out, and the properties can give the clients a good return.
Are you also managing properties on the islands on behalf of clients? Do we have this service available?
Yes, of course. We, as a real estate agent, we are not also concentrated on the Golden Visa program. We are also offering the full package to the clients, and we have agreements for the property management. We take care of everything, even in the islands, and of course in Athens. But yes, we offer the clients services from A to Z. Anything they need from the time they are coming to Greece until they decide to live here.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Sotiris, and have a beautiful day. I believe you are in Athens right now, and enjoy your day.
Thank you very much, Tolga. Thank you.
And now we have John Green. He will be speaking about Portugal Golden Visa. John, are you there?
I am, Tolga. Can you hear me?
Oh, good morning, John. For you, you're based in Vancouver. I know it's quite early there, but thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, without further ado, the stage is yours.
Excellent. And Tolga, I'm not seeing on the presentation my ability to move the slides, so perhaps I'll just get you to do it.
Okay.
So please go ahead. Great. So I'll give a little bit a quick background here on Latitude. We're headquartered in Jersey in the Channel Islands. We now have a network of over 12 offices worldwide. And really what we specialize in is assisting clients with both citizenship by investment and residence by investment programs. And this first today, I'll be talking about, of course, a residence by investment program, the Portugal Golden Visa. The other side to our business, though, is actually government advisory. So we have a proven track record in the design and implementation of some of the most successful residence and citizenship by investment programs in the world. We're also the IMC representative for the Caribbean region, and the IMC is tasked with overseeing the industry. And so we've successfully assisted over 1,000 clients. So we'll now get into the Portugal Golden Visa program and talk about some of the intricacies of how it works. Great. So the program was introduced all the way back in 2012, really as a way to attract foreign and direct investment and help lift Portugal out of the recession of 2008. It has already generated over $5 billion in investment for the country, with more than 7,800 investors, along with 13,000 family members, have taken advantage of this golden visa. The top 5 nationalities, probably not too surprising, of course, number 1 being China, number 2 being Brazil with the shared common language, or similar language, I should say. Turkey, South Africa, and Russia round out the top 5. It's a very flexible program in terms of the dependents. Children up to the age of 26 can be included as long as they are unmarried and enrolled as full-time students, as well as parents of either spouse if they're over the age of 66 years old or 55 years of age and older, but also dependent. So again, this is a very straightforward program in terms of the requirements. Of course, there is no age limit specifically, but the applicant must be over 18 years of age, the primary applicant. There's no work experience, no financial documents, education requirements. Really what's key here is that they make and maintain the qualifying investment for a minimum of 5 years. They must spend a minimum of 7 days in Portugal for the first year, then no less than 14 days in each subsequent 2-year period. So it's very flexible. It averages 7 days per year for a total of 35 days over the 5 years. So it does give credence to it being one of the world's most flexible residence by investment programs. And of course, a major point here is the applicant must have a clean criminal record. So a few of the highlights of the program: visa-free access throughout Europe, Schengen. So once the applicant and family members get the golden visa permit, they now have visa-free access all throughout the EU. Of course, they have the opportunity to live, study, and actually work in Portugal. So unlike some other programs, Portugal does permit the applicant and dependents to actually work in Portugal. Citizenship is also obtainable after 5 years of holding the golden residence permit, and I'll get into that a little bit later in another slide. As I previously mentioned, only 7 days per year to maintain the GRP, and they also have an attractive personal tax options in what they call the non-habitual tax regime. So this is essentially a 10-year tax holiday for people where their worldwide income is exempt, but they're residing in Portugal, and just their Portugal income is taxed at a very reasonable rate. And of course, Portugal, like many EU countries, has a very high quality of life, a very safe country, pleasant climate, excellent healthcare and education facilities, which makes it so attractive. I just want to go back to what we were talking about previously on citizenship, as this is a very flexible path. It's probably one of the world's most flexible residence by investment programs in terms of a path to citizenship. So again, the minimum time in the country is 7 days per year for the 5 years. Certainly, we would recommend spending a little bit more than that if citizenship is the goal. As the two most important points when looking at the citizenship component is the applicant must demonstrate genuine links to the country. Number one way to do that, of course, is spending time in the country, but other things such as obtaining a gym membership, joining a local club, of course, owning real estate, All of these things can help demonstrate genuine ties to the country. There's also the requirement for a basic understanding of the Portuguese language. It's not overly a high level that's required, but certainly a basic understanding is needed. But this does not apply to those dependents under the age of 18. So if you were to include your children, say 10 and 12 years, at the end of 5 years, you would apply for citizenship. The children do not have the language requirement, which is quite nice. And of course, once a citizen of Portugal, you can now live and work anywhere in the EU, and your passport would afford visa-free travel to 186 countries. So I think there's about 9 different options to qualify for the Golden Visa. One of the main categories is the capital transfer. So this is a minimum of $250,000 for an investment on artistic output or maintenance of national heritage. So essentially that's a donation. Others can be investments in research activities, purchase of shares, also $1 million into a Portuguese bank account. And the last one on this screen you'll see is the job creation, which is a minimum of 10 employee positions. But what's far more popular is the investment in real estate. So this is really, I think, what something like 95% of applicants actually go through with the program, choose the real estate option. And there's 3 different investment levels. The one with the most flexibility is, currently anyway, is the $500,000 investment. This can be anywhere in the country. So if a client wants to buy in Lisbon and Porto, wherever, as long as the purchase price is at least $500,000, you'll qualify for the Golden Visa. So there has been, I'll just back up a little bit, there has been talk earlier this year, before the global pandemic, of Portugal changing some of their qualifying investments. And they were looking at changing this at the end of this year. Of course, with everything that's happening right now, those plans are on hold. But for the time being, you can still purchase real estate at $500,000 anywhere in the country, including the 2 biggest, largest cities in Porto and Lisbon. Where we're seeing a lot of interest is at these next 2 investment levels. However, you can invest 350,000 euros in real estate that is older than 30 years old, or located in urban regeneration areas. And you can also further reduce that to 280,000 in properties older than 30 years old and located in low density areas. So I'm just going to talk really high level about this 350,000 investment level. So it's much more complicated for a client to purchase their own property that's older than 30 years that needs renovation and put that work in themselves, as it's a lot more complex. So what we've done is we've partnered with developers who have a proven track record. Some of the developers have worked all over the world, Canada, USA, through their investment program, the EB5, and now they're in Portugal and have been for a number of years. And so they have a really proven track record for their projects and for our clients. So it gives us great comfort when we recommend them to our clients. This particular developer has projects located in Porto, and what they really do is they refurbish old buildings and turn them into hotels. So this qualifies our clients at the 350,000 investment level. They're a well-known international brand, and they also extend an offer of a 3% guaranteed return from the time the hotel is operational. It's typically 18 months after the client signs the initial contracts. And they also come with a guaranteed buyback at the end of the 5-year term. So the client's able to earn a little bit of income with that 3% return. And then at the end of the 5 years, should they choose, they can resell it back to the developer at the purchase price. So that way, these programs work quite nicely for developers to get less expensive financing for their projects. The clients get the peace of mind of a small return, 3%, and also that they're going to get their money back at the end of the 5 years. So it's a win-win here with the Golden Visa. The other investment level that I wanted to touch on is the 280,000 investment level. These aren't as common as the 350, but we have partnered with a well-established hotel and spa. This particular one is located in the Algarve. And certainly it is an older hotel, and so the rooms are in need of updating, hence the project qualifying at this lowest investment level. It's in a low density area and it needs refurbishment. And so they offer up to a 4% guaranteed return. And this is also comes with 2 weeks of personal complimentary stay at the hotel. Or if the clients want to take advantage, this hotel operator has 13 other hotels throughout Portugal. Our clients can spend up to 1 week at one of their other 13 hotels. So this particular project is calling for 46 investors, all investing at 280,000. And what's really nice about this particular project is that it's a well-established hotel. So clients aren't having to worry about construction risk. It's already fully operational, and they're doing the upgrades in stages. So it's very low risk for our clients.
John, one question about this 280,000 investment level. Is there any exit strategy or buyback guarantee as the Porto project?
There's no, yeah, thanks, Tolga, for that question. For this particular project, there is no guaranteed buyback, but certainly the hotel operator has expressed a desire to purchase them back, but it's not a guarantee at this point.
What about the income return on investment after 5 years? If they want to keep the investment, will they be eligible to get some return?
Yes, exactly. So they're eligible through the income. It's guaranteed. It starts, I think, at 3% and goes up to 4% by year 4 and 5, and then that's what's guaranteed. And if the client certainly wants to keep in the investment for longer than the 5 years, they're welcome to do so.
Okay, perfect. Well, you will be with us again for the Caribbeans. You're somehow presenting all the beautiful locations, John. But now I want to switch to your colleague in Malta, another beautiful island.
Thank you.
Ryan Darmanin will be with us now, and he will present the Malta Mrvp program.
Indeed. Hi, Tolga. Thank you for inviting me once again to this conference. It's a real pleasure to be here. Will you be uploading the yeah, it will. Fantastic. Thank you, Tolga. So again, thank you for inviting me, and I want to pass on to my also industry colleagues and also individuals who joined us today that are considering alternative residency and citizenship. My name is Ryan Darmanin, and I'm the managing director for the Latitude office in Malta. And today I'll be introducing, or I should say, sharing a little bit more about Malta and what makes it an interesting and attractive proposition, and also sharing more about the two popular programs, starting with the residency. I'll probably ask you the same, Tolga, to flip the slides, because I have no access to that. If you can go one more, fantastic. Thank you, Tolga. So Malta at a glance, very rich in history, spanning more than 7,000 years of history, and we have some of the world's oldest structures dating back older to the pyramids. British presence for over 200 years in Malta, therefore English is our official language alongside Maltese, and this also makes it makes doing business very easy here in Malta, as all the legal aspects are conducted in English, and all the legal documentation is also provided in English. Malta is I'll tell you when to flip, Tolga, if you don't mind. But Malta is a very small island, only 316 square meters, and we say what it lacks in size it actually makes up for with its impressive economic performance and the quality of life indicators. A population of less than 500,000, but then over 2 million tourists each year. So that's like more than 4 times our population, and strategically located in the heart of the Mediterranean, with very close ties to mainland Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Apologies for that. So an EU member as of 2014, with Schengen access in 2007, and later on adopted the euro in 2008. A democratic system, and very pro business, which is a key trade gateway for expanding markets in the Mediterranean, Middle East, and North Africa. So over the past decade, Malta's economy consistently attracted positive reviews by international credit agencies, and it goes to show how pro-business Malta is, also with its extensive network of double taxation treaties, which has really attracted a lot of big players to Malta, such as online gaming and fintech companies, amongst many other, who decide to set up subsidiary offices here in Malta. Also, an interesting point to mention is the real estate market, which has seen one of the largest growths in Europe over the past decade, with year-on-year increase due to the high tourism, so demand from foreigners, foreign workers, but also I have to say the demand from local is very high as well. I mean, we have this thing whereby we do not rent property, we buy property, and it continues to stimulate really the real estate. So last slide before we get into more about the program attributes, requirements, and the process. About the lifestyle in Malta, I mean, one of the best climates in the world, really, with over 300 days of sunshine. So it doesn't get too cold, it doesn't get too hot, let's say like in Dubai, for example, and the island has pristine seas and beaches, one of the cleanest actually beaches in Europe, that comes out highly in the international league table of water quality and cleanliness. Very safe and secure environment with low crime rate and excellent work-life harmony. So as I said, I mean, what Malta lacks in size, it definitely ranks competitively in the global index, and in a number of areas. The economic environment, the education, the healthcare, and financial institutions. So Malta is well renowned for its education, and internationally recognized education centers, whereby we see over 100,000 students coming to Malta to take up learn English. And also the healthcare system is one that ranks as one of the best in the world. So moving on to the program, the MRVP, or the Malta Residency and Visa Program, which was introduced in 2015, but then amended in 2017, and that's really what has boosted its popularity with the changes, which made it very attractive. So the obligations and the requirements for individuals to qualify, very straightforward. First and foremost, the MRVP enables third country nationals, so non-EU to take up residency in Malta, provided certain conditions are satisfied. And it's administered by a separate government agency called the Mrvp. So what are the requirements to qualify to apply? Very, very straightforward. An applicant must be at least 18 years of age. He or she must declare and demonstrate that they either have 100,000 in income arising outside of Malta, or that they have a capital of 500,000 or over. Now, this capital could be anything from a real estate valuation, funds in an account, a business valuation. So it's very flexible, and in fact is the most popular route that our applicants choose to go for. The only other thing that's really a requirement to qualify is that there's no criminal background, so there's no a clean criminal record like many other programs. And to satisfy the requirements, there's really four, as you can see here on the slide. So a qualifying property, which is either a leased property, a rented property, or a purchased property. The lease minimum is 10,000 per year, or the purchase is 270,000 for 5 years. They need to show evidence of a qualified investment, so that's the 250,000, which mostly opt for government bonds. And we'll later talk about the financial mechanism to actually offset that investment requirement. The third obligation is a government fee of 30,000 that covers all the family. And the last is very straightforward health insurance that must cover all the applicants across the whole of the European Union. Moving on to the next slide, Tolga, thank you. Now, let's talk about what the benefits that the Mrvp provides. So I think first and foremost, I'd like to mention that this program can be an application can be submitted remotely. So there's no need for applicants to visit Malta to submit an application. And in this time where there are travel bans and restriction, this comes in as making it very, very attractive and flexible. So the only time an applicant needs to actually visit is upon approval. It's a residency program by investment that gives permanent residency upon approval. So there's no temporary residence which is renewed and then renewed, or you'd need to graduate or work your way to permanent residency. So there's no time to put in. You get permanent residency upon approval. Putting everything all in a capital outlay of around 355,000, which with the introduction of the financial mechanism, residency can be achieved in under 200,000, making it one of the most competitively priced European permanent residency programs that there are out there. And we'll talk in later slides on the financial mechanism. Unlike any other programs, there's no language requirements for the PR. Obviously, access to all Schengen countries. And what's good also about the Mrvp, I'm still on the previous slide, Tolga. What's good about the Mrvp is that it allows for generations of families. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that the main applicant and the spouse, of course, can include their kids, but they can also include their parents. They can also include their grandparents. But it doesn't stop there. They can even include future children that they would have, and the children that they have included in their application, bearing in mind that there are no age restrictions as long as the children are not married. If they're over 18, they're not married and they're not economically active. And they can even include their children at a later stage if the dependent have kids of their own. I mentioned already the access to English language schools and universities, and successful applicants, not only can they reside in Malta and access the Schengen, but with a work permit, they're also able to work should they choose to work instead of set up businesses here in Malta. Access to a very buoyant and stable real estate market. And the last point I'd like to make before I move on to the next slide is the fact that it allows for flexibility whereby one does not necessarily need to purchase property, but they can lease property. That gives the flexibility if one wants to, at a later stage, move on to another rented property, or decides to spend more time and want to upgrade more time in Malta and wants to upgrade to another location or a higher quality property. The fact that the purchase is not a requirement gives that extra flexibility, whereby compared to other programs whereby acquisition is the only way in, perhaps there isn't that kind of flexibility. Moving on to the next slide, and this is where I would explain the financial mechanism and how does this program become one of the most competitively priced programs. So from a capital outlay of over 355,000 all the way down to well under 200,000. How? First and foremost, the government bonds of 250,000 can be financed officially, and that is also mentioned in the application, through a financial mechanism whereby the financing company would, for a one-time payment from the client of 70,000, provide the applicant with a contract note. Thereby they purchase the government bond on behalf of the client. And we've had many clients, in fact 95% of the clients opt for this because they've got better things to do with their 250,000, or if I should say the balance with the 180,000. So 70,000 in finance and government finance bond, the 30,000 contribution, and let it use professional fees. That's your 125,000. And the only thing you'd need to add is health insurance and a property of their choice. Or if they decide to go with the bare minimum property of 10,000 rent per year, which needs to be retained for 5 years, that's 50,000. So you're looking at 175,000 plus the insurance and the security deposit that they must pay to the landlord. So starting off an application, and moving on to the next slide, Tolga, thank you. So starting off an application, most of these requirements come at the very end upon approval without really having to be in Malta. So really what's required to kickstart an application is, out of the 30,000 to the government fee, is only 5,500, which is a non-refundable deposit, plus the licensed agent fees, in our case 25,000. So in under 35,000 they can kickstart an application, and 6 to 9 months down the line, because that's really give and take how long it takes for the agency to do their checks and background verification checks until approval, and that's where the remainder of the requirements are in. In terms of the timeline to really close off here and on time, quite keen to say, is there are really four stages. So there's the compiling of an application, which is stage 1. Then the licensed agent gets to submit the applications and also takes an interview with the agency. The agency carries out its checks. That's where it usually takes around 6 months, give and take, from the time of submission. They can come back with additional questions, which it's what usually prolongs the process. But what we try and do is really handhold the client or the business partners that we're working with to guide them into putting together a complete and correct application. At the third really stage is where the government would, or the agency would, issue approval in principle, subject to fulfilling the obligations. So the obligations that we've discussed earlier, making sure they have a leased property, a contract note for the bond, they pay the remainder of the contribution, and they show the health insurance. At that stage, a final letter of approval is issued, and the applicant at that stage is when they need to come to Malta, because they're invited for the biometrics. They get the residency certificate, which is far more important than the actually residency card itself. That's an indefinite permit, together with the residency card. So that's it in terms of the MRVP. Thank you for your time, and really looking forward to assisting you. And
Ryan, you will be with us shortly
time.
again. But just one question about the work permit. You mentioned that with the MRVP, applicants will get also the right to work in Malta. How that work?
So basically, what an MRVP applicant gets the opportunity to do is, with access to Malta and having the ability to spend time in Malta, if they decide to seek employment, then they would need a work permit to work in Malta. But what the MRVP does is it facilitates far more than someone who does not have access into Malta in looking for a job. So that is if they decide that they would want to work rather than set up their own, let's say, business, for example.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Welcome.
And now, and your team in Malta, it's beautiful.
Indeed.
We are moving the second section of our e-conference, Citizenship by Investment programs. And we will start again with Ryan. He will be speaking about the Malta IIP, Malta Citizenship by Investment program. Then we will continue with Laszlo Kis from Discuss Holding. Laszlo is a very experienced professional in this field, and he will be talking about the Montenegro Citizenship by Investment program, which has been recently introduced in the market. And Laszlo is one of the official agents for the program. And also Vanuatu Citizenship by Investment program. Then we will back to Vancouver, Canada, and with John. John is going to cover the Caribbean citizenship programs. There are 5 currently programs with slight differences, investment thresholds or requirements, and he will be talking about that. And if we have a little more time at this section, I will be talking about the citizenship in Turkey by means of investments. So now, Ryan, we can continue with you.
Okay, I'll come back on the panel, and I'll have
we are bringing up your presentation now, Malta IIP.
Yep, and I'll let you know when to change the slides. Fantastic. So as I've just gone through Malta at a glance, I think we could skip the first 4 slides and jump straight into.
So this is the MRVP. Sorry,
you need to upload the other one.
Yeah, we need to bring up the IIP presentation.
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah. So
one more.
Fantastic. Yes, perfect.
Perfect. Thank you, Tolga. So I'll start off with apologies, my timer here. So I'll start off with sharing with you that I have the privilege and also the honor of saying that I, together with a number of Latitude key executives that were part of this program at its launch, working with the submission to the government and also the promotion of the program. So we are very closely linked to the agency and work very, very well with the government on this program. We have helped a large number of applicants for this unique EU Citizenship by Investment program, which was introduced in 2014. If you get the slide, thank you. So I'll start off by giving a very brief overview of the program and its intent when it launched in 2014. So the idea behind the MIIP has been to attract successful and wealthy individuals to join a very pro-business country, where and we've been very successful in attracting applicants, not just for the money, but also for the expertise and the business connections that they bring. And many a times I've actually connected one applicant with another applicant who have gone on to explore many other business opportunities. The MIIP is also one of the first citizenship by investment programs in Europe that was actually recognized by the European Commission. And it's very, very clear in the know that the program and every applicant is subject to a stringent due diligence process, which includes thorough checks by the agency and also third-party due diligence firms, which do what we refer to as background verification checks. The program is capped at 1,800 applications, but the government of Malta has already committed to renewing the program, which is expected to take place later on this year. And what we hear so far is that the program will become more exclusive, and therefore do expect to see an increase in the contribution, maybe do away with the bond. All of this still is in the making. But for those of you out there who are contemplating and considering kickstarting an application, now is really the time, unless you want to part with, say, another 150,000 in your application. So moving on to the benefits, and I've just literally picked the top unique and benefits that applicants would avail themselves for if they apply for the program. So they're getting Schengen residence within weeks of application. It takes us, give and take, from the time of application 4 to 6 weeks to really issue applicants with a residency card, many of which find it very helpful to travel, especially if they have been quite restricted to getting Schengen visas before. Citizenship is for life, so there's no requirements for renewing permits or anything like that. And a Maltese passport would give its holders travel, visa-free travel to 184 countries, which includes the US, UK, and Canada, and full working rights within the European Union. Of course, access to free healthcare in Malta, and access to public schools and university. Obviously, citizenship is passed on to future generation, and one would also enjoy automatic rights to setting up business, not just in Malta, but also doing business within any of the European Union countries. Again, investment in Malta is a stable one and a very lucrative real estate market. And I must also finish the slide by making a point on still being the most price competitive citizenship by investment program in terms of the capital outlay, which for a single applicant is just under €1 million, taking everything into consideration. So in terms of qualifying and the obligations to satisfy, really there's two main criteria for one to qualify to apply. Must be of age, very important, and must not have any criminal backgrounds or clean criminal record. Who are they able to include in their application? Their spouse, children, that are under the age of 27 and not married, and must be maintained by the main applicant. And they also have the opportunity of including dependents, such as parents of the age of 55 and over, as long as, again, they can prove they are financially dependent and part of the household of the main applicant. In terms of obligations to satisfy, there's 5. So on the Mrvp there were 4. In this case there's 5. So there's a contribution of 650,000, which goes to the National Development and Social Fund. An acquisition in real estate of 350,000, or again the flexibility of leasing, renting a property for 16,000 per annum, both of which either or must be held for 5 years. Proof of having a resident status in Malta for a minimum of 12 months prior to being issued with the certificate of naturalization. This is where the first thing that we do for an applicant is actually apply for a residency card, which we actually get for 18 months, to get that buffer of 6 months in case it's needed. And the last requirement would be, sorry, the one before the last requirement is health insurance, and then an investment, a qualified investment of 150,000. Again, it could be government bonds, it could be stocks, listed securities. The most popular option is 150,000 in bonds. On top of the contribution, which the 650 is for the main applicant, for the spouse and the dependent, they also have the contribution on top of the 650 at a maximum of 50,000. Aside from that, there would be due diligence that is paid to the government agency to run their checks, also third-party due diligence firms to run their checks. So to really close off with giving you a little bit more about the process, but also the timeline. 3 phases, 3 stages to attain citizenship and a passport, starting with a residency application, which requires a visit to Malta, biometrics, and having an address and a property, many of which opt to rent a property. That's when we then, well, the client would have a residency permit. The clock starts ticking in terms of having a minimum of 12-month residency, and in that period is where we compile and prepare and submit the citizenship applications. I have to say, and hats off to the agency, who has been fantastic in terms of turnaround times. We've had clients were approved in 3 months from the time of submitting the citizenship application. So one of our last clients have been approved, received approval before the 6th month has been over. So that gives them another 6 months to really prepare to fulfill the obligations that we've discussed earlier. Then off to the last stage, where an applicant is approved. They submit the proof of fulfilling the obligations, and that's where an invitation is been sent by the agency for the applicants to come to Malta and take the oath of allegiance, swearing of the oath of allegiance, and receive a citizenship certificate, and also the passport for Malta. That's for me. Thank you for this opportunity of sharing with you the Malta Citizenship Investment Program. Maybe it's fair to also mention that together with my team, we handhold the clients throughout the process, and when it's agents and partners and introducers that we work with, we also assist in making sure an application is correct and complete prior to submit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ryan, for being with us, and have a beautiful Malta day.
Thank you, Tolga. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Now I would like to invite Laszlo on stage to discuss about the Montenegro Citizenship by Investment Program. Laszlo, are you with us? Hello, Laszlo. Yeah, I can see you, Laszlo, but I cannot hear you.
And can you hear it now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay? No echoes, no real bad echoes?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Greetings to everyone. I would be talking about 2 countries in the next 15, 20 minutes. It is not a lot of time, so I would like
to... You have 30 minutes, Laszlo, don't worry.
I would like to concentrate on the most important aspects, and this is how we put this presentation. I guess this would be distributed to the listeners, so I'm not repeating many things which are there. First of all, I think let's talk about Montenegro. Montenegro is not as well known worldwide, but it's a fairly small European country. Okay, as an introduction, but that is part of the beauty contest, so I do not want, I think, to spend too much time. We have been in the market since 1997. We are offering participation basically in many programs. I am myself the founder of the Investment Migration Council, which is the largest non-governmental organization representing the professionals all over worldwide. Tolga, if I say next slide, please, would that be okay? Thank you so much. Those are the list of available programs worldwide. One of them is Moldova, where the program is suspended. So all in all, we cannot really calculate it or use it as a kind of a possibility. And also from the others, Cambodia, Egypt, and Jordan, because of the advantages they are offering, are not really meaningful. So even though there is a program there, we do not want to offer participation because basically we do not see the advantages. Next slide, please. Residency Solutions, and then we try to give a full line of what is available on the market so that we will not be considered as a one of jurisdiction service provider. We are helping clients to get residency and citizenship in all these jurisdictions. And what we usually do is that we try to get the motivation of the client, why somebody wants to have either residency or citizenship. And we obviously give several choices if there are several choices available to the clients. And then this way, I think we would be able to provide a good service for them. I think today there are many jurisdictions which might be interesting to people, for example, Austria, for example, Spain. But for the time being, I think I would rather concentrate on Montenegro, which is a fairly new jurisdiction. Next slide, please. Okay. Montenegro, as I said, is a small but extremely beautiful country with a long seaside, lots of beaches, and huge hills. So it gives a kind of variety, for example, like Lebanon does, where from the beach you could go up to ski in certain periods of the time of the year, for example, in an hour and a half. Montenegro, by the way, has the second longest beach in Europe, which is near to the southern border, which is 12 kilometers long of sandy beach. So for tourism purposes, Montenegro is being discovered. And also it started to become rather as a playground for rich people, for very high net worth individuals. Next to Monaco, in fact, competing on the price, Monaco offers a much more cost-effective solution for those people. Next slide, please. Montenegro, I'm just going through the advantages because probably this is what the listeners are interested in. There is a visa-free travel to 117 countries. So all in all, as a backdoor to Europe, Montenegro, as it is basically a European country, by the way, in the Balkans, it offers also a Schengen visa-free travel and basically to all European Union countries. So all in all, people would get the freedom of travel the same way as the Caribbean countries, Vanuatu, and other countries are aiming, because nearly all of them are providing the Schengen visa-free travel. Now, important it is that immediately the whole family could get the citizenship. Last year, when the rules were amended, then the inclusion of under and above 18 children was permitted. So that was not a question anymore. Before, it was a kind of a legal technicality whether below 18 year children could have been included, but that has been sorted out. So now this is not a question at all. To get citizenship, there is no residency requirement. There is nothing to stay in, not even 35 days in 5 years, like in Portugal. The ties, there are no real requirement to show any kind of ties like in Malta. There is no need to invest 2.3 million like in Cyprus. All in all, the costs and the fees are much lower. And what is even more important, and this is the base, for example, why Montenegro can be considered as a backdrop for immigration or for moving to EU, that Montenegro, with the negotiations with the European Union, and it has been confirmed by many times, is aiming to become a European Union member in 2025. Meaning that because one of the conditions in the system, and I think, Tolga, I would like to see the next slide, if I may.
Sure, coming soon.
Good. The conditions are the following, and then you would understand the financial concept and also the value which people receive compared to other jurisdictions. I always consider these kind of conferences like a beauty contest, so everybody's pushing his own or her own jurisdiction, only showing the advantages. If there is any kind of question, I would be very happy to answer if any kind of negative things are mentioned, because this is how we could give a full picture to everybody, not just always the nice all the best sides of everything, because we all know, I think everybody knows that usually there are good and bad sides to everything. And now there are two parts of the country, and the northern part, which is a hilly side, which is not as well developed as obviously the seaside, you need to buy a property in a government approved project of 250,000 euros. This property needs to be kept for 5 years, meaning that is the minimum holding period. If somebody wants to keep the property, obviously that is not a problem. I mentioned government-approved projects, which gives a kind of a security or safety for the investors that those projects would materialize. The investors must prove that they have the financial means to do the development. So all in all, it is taking the investment side much more strictly than let's say the Caribbean, where we hear many stories. The central part of Montenegro is also considered as in addition to the northern side, except with the capital of Montenegro, which is Podgorica, which belongs to the southern side, where the necessary investment is 450,000 euros in a government-approved property project. Usually, that is usually condominium hotel type of mixed property. This has been so far the experience what we have. There are 6 approved projects in Montenegro available, and all of them are available for rental and also for purchase, and the owners can lease them, can do whatever they want to do with the property. In addition to the property investment of 250,000 in the north and 450,000 in the south, there is 100,000 donation requirement to the country. So all in all, the total cost is from this calculation, and we could calculate the property investment like a donation. It's not a donation. So all in all, the client is expected to receive it back in 5 years' time, 250,000. So the net cash layout is by far, I think, the most advantageous in Europe, because at the end, really is the 100,000 donation, which would be lost for the clients with the government fees, application fees, and all these professional fees, obviously. But on the other hand, if Montenegro would become the member of the European Union in 5 years' time, meaning that you invest now, you wait 5 years. After 5 years, you sell your property, and you would become an EU citizen with the full rights. That is a very good comparison and a very good competitor, I think, with what Cyprus is offering now at 2.3 million euros. And the citizenship granting time is between 9 and 12 months. So all in all, this is the difference of 4 years, for which it's either 2.3 million or 450,000. I think that is a very, very big selling point and a very good how should I say, competition for Cyprus and also partly Malta, because let's not forget that in Malta you have to pay 650,000 donation to the government, which means that's money lost. In Montenegro, it's 100,000. So all in all, I think that Montenegro is well priced professionally and business-wise in our international immigration market. I have to add also, because that should be also, I think, a necessary disclaimer, that we are 50% shareholders of one of the license holders to handle and process applications in Montenegro, and there are only 3 companies which has the license. So I think that what we do is really based on the close relationship with how the system operates, as basically we are part of the system. Next slide, please, Tolga. Thank you. Here is the breakdown: 100,000 for the contribution, 200 or 450,000 for the property investment. Clients can choose whichever they want to choose. It could be the cheaper option. Government application fee, 15,000 for a main applicant, 10,000. Due diligence fees is basically 10,000 for a family of 4. So all in all, if somebody is taking the lower amount as a 2 or 3 member family, the approximate cost to do that would be 400,000, and then 250,000 would be permitted to be sold after 5 years. So all in all, that is the value proposition. And also, if anybody goes to Montenegro, they would see that the quality of life, nearly everything is up to European levels, but it is a much cheaper country than small island states. And I have close ties with Malta. I'm a registered agent to handle citizenship and residency applications. But business-wise, I think for the time being, Montenegro offers one of the best solutions for additional business services, for additional investments all over Europe, with the possibility to get citizenship through this system. And that is basically about Montenegro. Next slide, please. That is just an indication that in the north, in Kolashin, this is one of the planned projects, government-approved projects. Kolashin really has snow, so it is not as much affected by the snow as, for example, Austria, much to my surprise, but it is really working well. And in the north, usually it is a ski-related resort, although you have to know that in the summer, the scenery is so beautiful that now a huge amount of foreigners and locals are going for hiking. So all in all, the hotels as an investment are not really useful for a 3-month winter period, but also the summer, which means that the profitability and the yields are obviously could be much higher this way than if it is considered only as a ski resort. Next slide, please. These are the types also at Kolashin, which would be developed, which I think that the government did a good job by allowing only properties which really are well-founded. The developers have the funds behind the projects so that the customers will not be investing in something which unfortunately will not materialize. Next slide, please. Thank you for your attention. That is about Montenegro. I think that we kept the 10 minutes time frame. Now, can we get to Vanuatu, which is a very good and interesting jurisdiction?
Thank you, Laszlo. And we are bringing up now Vanuatu. And in the meantime, if I may ask, the 2 projects, are they freehold projects? Are they buying individual units or shares of a company or fraction of the property? 5
of the 6 approved projects where you buy individual units, which are usually hotel rooms. So in the land register, your ownership is definitely defined and it is a freehold property. For the 6th one, unfortunately, you are buying shares in the property, and I think that that type of investment is not as advantageous as having your own direct ownership of the physical property, as I said, as a hotel room.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And just bringing up your Vanuatu presentation.
Next slide, please.
Yes.
I think I already told it. That's the same.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about Vanuatu. And again, I would be trying to be brief and trying to compare it with, again, the advantages and different competitive situations with other countries. I think that Vanuatu simply just noted that the Caribbean, some of the countries in the Caribbean, the 5 ones, have a very good system, a very good setup, a very good idea of how to invite foreign investment or foreign capital or how to get money. And Vanuatu made the deliberate choice of using the donation route. And I explain to you why. Vanuatu is being hit by serious hurricanes every 4 or 5 years, while in the Caribbean is usually 10 or 15 years. And therefore, unfortunately, constantly it is in need for reconstruction of certain islands, which means that it is a purely donation-based program where a single applicant is paying only 80,000 euros, or 80,000 US dollars, and all in all, there are other fees, and the basic fee for which, or basic cost, or a total cost, which is the cost for a single applicant, 130,000 US dollars, which means that it's on the same level as on the Caribbean jurisdictions. In fact, it is cheaper or more cost-effective than, for example, as far as I remember, St. Kitts for certain family ranges. For 4-member families, now the fees, for example, in St. Lucia are changing, and therefore, all in all, yes, it is a constantly changing competitive situation. What Vanuatu can do for the investors is that to offer Schengen visa-free travel, also visa-free travel to the United Kingdom, to Ireland, to Singapore, to Hong Kong, to 129 countries. And also one of the biggest advantage is the citizenship processing time is 45 days. And I can confirm that, yes, citizenship in this country, which again is a direct competitor to the Caribbean, can be done after the collection of the documents and after filing the applications in 45 days, which I think now is the best solution worldwide. And all in all, it is not 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, or 12 months, or let's say in an example of a citizenship solution, that is like 15 or 16 months. Basically, you get the citizenship immediately. There is also another advantage of Vanuatu, in addition that there are no taxes whatsoever at all. No taxes on personal income, no taxes on corporate income, no taxes, no value-added tax. All in all, it is a very tax-favorable jurisdiction. You do not have to plan really too many things, because if you settle down, you become immediately tax-free, or your income becomes tax-free. Now, Vanuatu decided that, yes, obviously the citizenship could include the all the family members, under 26-year-old dependent children, about 55 years old additional parents or grandparents, for the additional donation of 10,000 US dollars only. So you could increase the size of the family, and the financial layout will not be really that bad. As I said, really that 7 or 8 weeks is the processing time, including everything. And let me give you also another example. I'm not telling you which country it was, but that country, and that is not Vanuatu, unfortunately has a system where only 2 banks are able to receive funds for the due diligence, for the application fees. And we had a client who was a Russian client who has earned legally 100% tax-wise his income and his wealth. And one of the banks, as unfortunately for policy reasons, is not able to deal with Russian citizens. And the other one has in their internal policy that they do not want any clients who has anything to do with online gaming, which means that for that reason, the client was unable to transfer to that country. I do not want to shame that country. That the 7,000 US dollars, although that client went through the due diligence procedure, everything was okay. The government wanted to accept that person, but because 2 banks decided, well, we do not like this kind of clients, then they decided that no. So the client had to go somewhere else. You do not face such a problem with bad transfers, banks asking hundreds of compliance questions. There is no need to fill hundreds of pages of compliance documentation. It's fairly simple. If you could prove your wealth and you could prove that it's from legal sources, then they accept it. So that is a big advantage, and that is why, by the way, Vanuatu is able to do the citizenship and is able to process the applications all in all in 45 days. And that is a competitive advantage. Again, if somebody wants to move to Vanuatu, by the way, if I go out to the streets and I ask, do you know where Vanuatu is? I'm not so sure the results would be very positive. It's northeast of Brisbane in Australia. So it's basically near to the equator in the Pacific Ocean. And I shouldn't repeat it, but obviously it is really, really a beautiful place, a slice of paradise, really, where this donation, again, there is no property component, which is a kind of a disadvantage compared to the Caribbean jurisdictions where you could choose between the donation and the property investment. Obviously, that kind of donation goes far to create jobs if anything needs to be done. And let me give you an example. Last December, 44% of the GDP of Vanuatu was generated by citizenship donations. So it is really, really one of the most important income. In fact, it is the most important income of the government. So you could really count on a long-term basis that Vanuatu would keep its system of economic citizenship. Next slide, please. It's 80,000 for the main investor, 100,000 donation for the investor and spouse, 130 for four-member family, and 10,000. So all in all, this is what the government really receives as a way of donation. So for a four-member family, 130,000, I think is a really good amount of money compared to other countries where usually with everything included, it is a higher amount. I have to also add that there is additional fees and costs apply. And for example, for a four-member family, the minimum selling price defined by the government is 180,000 US dollars. But this is what you need to pay. That includes every single service, government fee, application fee, due diligence fee, which is payable. So all in all, that is the real cost for the participants. Next slide, please. And basically here we are.
And Laszlo, how do you see the sustainability of Vanuatu program?
Same way as the Caribbean.
So you don't see any difference?
The European Union is negotiating with Vanuatu about, like always, enhancing the due diligence so that bad people shouldn't go there. And that is an ongoing process, and there are now changes for the due diligence procedure, which I highly welcome, because I do not want bad clients. I do not want clients with whom they bring bad reputations for Vanuatu or for ourselves. No. This is what the country definitely strengthens. And because it's a small country in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, basically it is naturally important to anybody. And that is another reason why it doesn't create as much problem as, let's say, for the Caribbeans with the Canadian visa-free travel, or what's happened with one specific diplomat who went to Canada. And unfortunately, those countries lost their visa-free travel to Canada. Vanuatu is too small for that. And I think that because it needs the money for that constant development, I think we could count on the long-term sustainability of the program.
Okay, and one key question from the client sides, when they obtain the Vanuatu citizenship and they never been to Vanuatu, they never invested in Vanuatu, and then when they are entering to, let's say, Germany, the first question from the border officer is, how did you get this passport? What is the legal answer for this?
The legal answer is the truth. I think there is a very, as far as this has been always my experience, don't ever lie to immigration officials, not just for legal reasons, but they are very good in smelling out who is lying and who is not. So, you just simply say, yes, Vanuatu, I donated to the well-being of Vanuatu, to the redevelopment of the country, and I got my citizenship legally. And here is, for example, a copy of my citizenship certificate. And here is my passport. Check it. Call the Vanuatu embassy. No problem whatsoever. Everything was 100% white and clean and legal. End of story.
Yes.
That's the beauty if you are doing it in a legal way.
Yeah.
Not in a legal way and not on the gray area. But then I think all professionals know that probably that is better to be like that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Laszlo.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
We will continue with the citizenship programs in the Caribbean. And
I will be listening.
John will be with us, making a comparison of Caribbean citizenship programs. John, are you there? It's just connecting. John Green is online. However, we are still waiting. Yes, now I can see him. Hello, John. It's frozen. Hello, John.
Hey, Tolga, can you hear me okay?
Yes, now we are with you.
Okay, perfect. Apologies for that. I had to reset my my internet. So thank you again for having me. And we're ready to discuss the Caribbean Citizenship by Investment Program. So if you could start, here they are. Perfect. So there is 5 main programs, of course, in the Caribbean: Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Lucia. So today we're going to give a high-level overview of the 5. We only have 15 minutes, so this will be quite short, but hopefully give you an idea of some of the differences and intricacies of each of the programs. So first up is the Antigua and Barbuda Citizenship by Investment Program. So highlights: very impressive visa-free travel, which is now 151 countries for Antigua passport holders. This includes the UK, Europe Schengen area, Singapore, and Hong Kong. The donation option in Antigua starts from just 100,000 US, and citizenship is typically granted in about 120 days. Antigua is one of the only 5 Caribbean programs with a small residency requirement. So currently they require their citizens to visit for a total of 5 days within the first 5 years of citizenship being granted. No other Caribbean program has that, but it is a way really for Antigua to attract their new citizens to come to their shores, spend a week essentially on island, and get to know their new country of citizenship. Here it's a little bit hard to see on the slide, but there's 3 main qualifying investments in Antigua that will grant you citizenship, of course, subject to the stringent due diligence checks. The first, as I previously mentioned, is the contribution to the National Development Fund, starting from 100. There's also purchasing real estate from either 200 or 400,000. Essentially, it is now just starting from 200,000. And there's also a University of West Indies fund, which is a new option for clients with family members of 6 or more. Next slide, please. So here's just a quick breakdown of Antigua, the cost for the National Development Fund. Subtotal cost, not including professional fees, which of course are going to vary from provider to provider. But for a single applicant, they're quite attractive, 137,000. But then you look at the total cost for a family of 4, it's only 146. So there's not much of a price difference between a single applicant and a family of 4. And this is what makes Antigua and Barbuda really attractive for families. It's not the lowest price for a single applicant, but it is the lowest price for these family dynamic of 4 or for a few more. Next slide, please. And looking at the real estate, well, we'll skip over the real estate. There we go. Thank you. Again, here, the price difference for a family versus a single applicant is quite minimal. And what Antigua recently did is actually reduce the government processing fee. You'll see it's 30,000. Previously, it was 50,000, but they wanted to bring it more in line with the NDF, the donation option. So now we're seeing the government fees match 30,000 for either donation or processing, and that fee is up to a family of 4 for both as well. Next slide, please. So the Dominica Citizenship by Investment Program. This is the world's 2nd oldest citizenship by investment program. Again, visa-free. It's not quite as strong as Antigua, but it's still right up there at 136 countries. And most importantly, it has access to the Europe Schengen area. Their required donation is also 100,000, but they do not have a minimum presence requirement. So their 2 qualifying investment options, again, donation for 100,000 or purchasing real estate with a minimum investment of 200,000. Next slide, please. Just going back to Dominica really quickly, I didn't outline the costs for that particular program, but it is the least expensive option for a single applicant. So it's coming around a subtotal of about 110,000 USD which is obviously significantly less than Antigua, which was about 137. So for single applicants, they may want to look at Dominica as the providing the best value, whereas Antigua is a little bit better for a family of 4. Jumping down to Grenada, this is located the southernmost Caribbean country offering citizenship by investment. Next slide, please. So Grenada has a lot of unique features that other citizenship programs in the Caribbean do not offer. Visa-free travel, 142 countries. This includes China. Again, their required donation is going to be a little bit more than the previous 2 countries we spoke at. It starts at 150,000. But here's where their unique features really come in. Siblings of the main applicant or spouse who are not married and have no children can be included in the application. So if the main applicant has a 40-year-old brother he wants to include who's not married, no children, they can be included in the application, which is very unique. It's the only country with such access. As well, they offer adult children all the way up to the age of 30 can be included in the application, and they do not need to be enrolled full-time in post-secondary school. Most programs do require adult children to be enrolled in school, and not many go up to the age of 30. Also unique in the Caribbean is this Grenada is an E2 treaty country with the U.S., which means once a citizen of Grenada, those who want to come to the U.S. and start a business can do so on an E2, such as purchasing a franchise and operating it, and then they get the right to live in the U.S. It's not a direct path to citizenship, but it certainly gives those who want access to the U.S. that option. Again, there are 2 main options to qualify: a donation from 150 or investment in a government-approved project from 220,000. So here's just a quick breakdown of the cost. You'll see there for a single applicant, it's still quite reasonable, 160. However, for a family of up to 4, it does jump up as the government donation increases by 50,000. For next slide, please. For any clients that are considering the E2 angle, or that's one of the attractions for them, is that possibility to come to the U.S. on the E2 visa, we do recommend the real estate. Again, when applying for an E2, you're going to need to show a nexus to Grenada, and the best way to do that is owning real estate. And so that's what we're recommending to our clients, is to purchase real estate if they're interested in the E2 visa. Single applicant there, you saw the costs quite reasonable, $281 for a family of 4. It doesn't change that much. It only increases to $294. So for families, the real estate option is quite attractive versus a single applicant. Now jumping to St. Lucia. So visa-free travel, similar, 142 countries, including, of course, Europe, Schengen area. Their required donation is from 100,000. Applications are approved in 120 days. And what we're actually seeing right now in the Caribbean is, because of this global pandemic that's happening, we have seen a downward trend of the number of applications going in because it is hard for some people to gather the necessary documents. However, we're seeing a lot of flexibility by the citizenship units themselves, where they're accepting online applications now, so everything can be sent electronically, and if certain documents they're not able to obtain them, they can be submitted at a later date. As such, we're seeing some really quick approval times in the Caribbean. Sometimes it can be as little as 6 weeks, which we've seen in Dominica, as the governments are able to, they have less applications to review at this current time. So we're seeing some really fast approval times right now. Traditionally, though, St. Lucia can be 120 days, but I'd certainly say that's off right now. It's more in the probably 60-day average. Interesting, they have a number of different qualifying investments. Of course, the donation, like most programs, from 100,000. St. Lucia, similar to Dominica, is the best priced option for a single applicant. They have also introduced some new pricing for families, which we'll get into a little bit later. They're purchasing real estate as a minimum of $300,000. Not very many projects are approved, so it's not something that we actively recommend to our clients. They have introduced a new option, or not a new option, but they reduced the price, and it's a government bond option from $250,000. So essentially, you're buying government bonds for $250,000. It must be held for 5 or 6 years, and then you'll get your money back at the end of the whole period at 0 interest bearing. So this is a new price. Previously, it was double that. It was starting from $500,000. So they've recently reduced this within the last 2 weeks or so. And it'll be interesting to see how the market reacts to this new government bond purchase. And lastly, they have a business option, but it's not very price competitive. Just real quickly, you'll see the price difference here. Government donation for single applicant, similar to Dominica, 110. It does increase for a family of 4. This is actually 40,000 less. This family for a family of 4 than it was just a couple of weeks ago. So I think St. Lucia recognized they were very competitive in the single applicant category, but not as competitive for larger families. So they've now reduced their costs, and we should see some increased interest for families for this program. And lastly, we'll quickly cover the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program. This is the world's oldest program, having been established in 1984. Again, it has the most visa-free travel out of any of the Caribbean countries at 156. And it's interesting, what we have seen from some clients that are interested in both an immediate passport but access to Europe is we're seeing them do a combination. So we help them with, say, St. Kitts and Nevis. They get the passport within a couple of months, and it gives them visa-free access to 156 countries. And then we also help them with Portugal. So they're getting a Portuguese golden visa. They get that residence card, and in 5 years' time, they can then apply for citizenship. So it's a really nice combo to get you the immediate passport to start traveling, and then the possibility of the European passport in 5 years' time, which of course will then increase the visa-free travel to over 186 countries, I believe it is. And applicants or citizens of Portugal then have the right to live and work anywhere in the EU. So it's quite an interesting combination, but some clients are certainly attracted to it. Going back to St. Kitts, they do have sorry, if you could quickly go back, Tolga. They have a required donation from 150. They have an accelerated route as well, which can be, the government aims to review people's application in 60 days. It's quite expensive, $25,000 for a single applicant and $20,000 for each dependent over 16. And probably in today's current climate with how fast they're reviewing applications, I wouldn't recommend it, as it's not going to save that much time. Like most programs, it doesn't have a minimum presence requirement. And you'll see there 3 investment options: the donation or 2 different real estate. $400,000 is a single investment where you're buying full rights to that, free title. And then the second one is a joint investment, so it's fractional ownership starting from $200,000, but it must be held for 7 years. Next slide, please. And here's just a quick comparison of the programs that we've been talking about today. Those approval times, again, we're going to see those actually a little bit less than what they currently are or currently listed as, just because of what we're seeing with the global pandemic. And you'll see the first cost comparisons, minimum cost for real estate option. These are for a single applicant. They don't include closing costs because they can vary from developer to developer. The next one is the comparison of donation costs for a single applicant. So you can see they vary quite greatly for a single applicant, with Dominica and St. Lucia being the most cost effective, followed by Antigua, and St. Kitts and Grenada are quite similar. What I find interesting is for a family of 4, you'll see the cost there, with Antigua certainly has the biggest advantage from a cost perspective, with the other programs being similar. And now with St. Lucia, with their reduced pricing, we're seeing a much more competitive price out of them for this family of 4. a few interesting points at the end. So that that concludes my whirlwind tour of the 5 Caribbean programs. I tried to keep it as short as possible. I hope everyone learned something, and please do let me know if you have any questions. You can contact me there on my direct mobile, which is also my WhatsApp number, as well as my email address. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John, for your contribution. Now I take the stage for myself, and I would like to discuss a little bit about the Turkish Citizenship by Investment Program, which has recently been introduced as one of the most attractive citizenship by investment program with pure real estate investment. So Turkey, at a glance, many people may not know the details. It's one of the G20 countries, the 18th biggest economy in the world. And with its strategic location, geostrategic location, it has been one of the most important players between Asia, Europe, and Middle East. Legal base of the Turkish Citizenship by Investment Program is simply a grant of citizenship under exceptional circumstances, namely contribution to Turkish economy, culture, and social life. And the program was introduced in 2017, initially with a $1 million real estate investment, $2 million financial investment, amended later slightly, significantly actually, to a lower amount. Currently, the requirement is $250,000 real estate investment and $500,000 financial investment, which can be a bank deposit or government bonds. Currently, this number 1 and number 2 options, the $250,000 real estate investment and the capital deposit to Turkish banks, are implemented in the legal system. The other 4 options has not been active and not implemented. So our focus is obviously mostly on these 2 options. And literally the $250,000 into real estate is a pure investment option that investor can also enjoy having an asset in Turkey. There are no limitations, no restrictions in the geographic area where you can invest or the type of real estate. It can be a commercial or a residential property, and you can have full ownership of the property for yourself, for your personal use, or it can be rented out. There are no limitations on that. So what are the advantages of Turkish Citizenship by Investment Program? Well, we heard many programs available in the market right now, and most of these programs, the governments are requiring a significant contribution. And in some cases, we have heard that 40% of their GDPs are relying on these programs and the contribution from the investors for citizenship. It's not the case in Turkey. Turkish economy is quite big compared to all these programs, and there is no government requirement or contribution asked in the program. The government is just asking and facilitating the real estate investment from the investors, and that's why you don't see any sunken costs in your application. There is no residency, citizenship, or Turkish language requirements under this program option. No source of funds or wealth questions are asked. The clean criminal history is sufficient, and of course, they're mandatory. Unconditional citizenship for applicant and family members, the children under 18 for life, that can be passed to next generations, and minimum paperwork and fast processing time, which is under 6 months, what we have seen, basically 2-3 months processing time in average. So advantages of Turkey for investment and citizenship. As I mentioned, Turkish economy is the 18th largest economy in the world, 5th largest in Europe, and the largest in Eastern Europe. As a member of NATO, OECD, G20, and having customs union with Europe and many international free trade agreements, Turkey offers a safe and a strong platform for international business as well, for investors. And for those looking to expand, for example, to US, Turkey has a E1 and E2 agreements with the US for many, many years, and EU agreements for self-employed persons with the UK particularly. It has been called Ankara Agreement. So Turkish citizens can benefit with all these agreements as well. Advanced banking system with high technology-based distribution channels. I think it's one of the biggest advantages for the people looking to consider Turkey as their base. They can do their banking easily, flexibly, and they have access to many channels in the banking system. It's very important, especially when you are doing international business, the sound banking system, the technological infrastructure of banking, being able to access your funds, move your funds easily and quickly. They are very important for international business people. So the banking system in Turkey, well, being a banker myself in Turkey, a past banker, I can say it's one of the best and most advanced, not only in Europe, probably in the world. Istanbul is a big aviation hub for international travels. As you may know, the Turkish Airlines flies the most direct countries in the world, probably with this pace, it's going to grow to one of the, I think, most successful air travel company in the world. So it makes people's life very easy too. They can travel anywhere with direct flights based in Istanbul. They can access within 4-hour flights over 100 countries. So it's a very advantageous. So with this recent COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen that Turkey has really superb healthcare facilities. Our doctors are well trained. Our facilities are excellent. And being a social state, we have seen that it's how important it was that all these patients were covered under the social state security, and they benefit from all these treatments freely. Rich culture, excellent climate, nature, and amazing cuisine, of course, are some attractions point as well. Therefore, we have seen many applicants having, for example, US, Canadian, British passports as well. They're just looking Turkey as a place for lifestyle, and that's why they want to invest in real estate and obtain citizenship for lifestyle purposes as well. So the property options, I think it's important to select the right property to understand the real estate market in Turkey. You can check our website, citizenshipturkey.com/properties for different options. The main thing, I think, is to be careful what you are investing in, what you are buying, the developer behind it, because we have seen many advertisements with buyback guarantees or 15-20% return on investments, which is impossible to attain in Istanbul. The amortization, 10 years is not in the market. If it's too good to be true, then you should check it, frankly, 2, maybe 3 times. Buying the right real estate is the key in this program. That's why you need to rely on professionals and with ethical business practices in this program. This concludes my short Turkish citizenship by investment presentation. Just before finishing, what is the cost of an application? As I mentioned, there is no contribution requirement from the government. You are purely investing in real estate, and the costs are associated with the real estate, applies to everyone domestically as well. So you can see here what are the main costs of an application when buying a real estate. And you can make this calculation as well on our website, citizenshipturkey.com/application_costs. So you can see all the cost items for different purchase decisions. And it will be also a handy tool for you to check out. So this concludes my Turkish citizenship by investment program, and you can reach us at info@citizenshipturkey.com or at our WhatsApp number. And also we have concluded our second section of our e-conference, Citizenship by Investment part. And now we can proceed the third and last part of our program, which is the economic residency programs. In this section, we will have Eleni Tima from Brockhaus and Kollegen from Germany, Crystal Meos, Zenit Family Office in Estonia, Fatma Chayir, Bridge Partners UK from London, and Elina Jaselev, Bridge Canada Consulting from Canada. These wonderful 4 ladies will be discussing the most popular programs in their own countries. And first, I would like to invite Eleni to speak about German residency through Blue Cards. Eleni, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, Tolga. Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, and stage is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, congratulations for putting this together. I am very happy to be here. Greetings, everyone, from surprisingly sunny Germany, really to our all surprise. I hope everyone is fine despite the pandemic that's going on right now. Today, I am very, very glad to be here, and I will address the topic of residency through employment for Germany, and to be more specific, through the Blue Card EU. Now, as you all may know, Germany does not have an investment immigration program. So there is no visa or residence title which is based on an investment. Nevertheless, Germany is a great magnet for people from all around the world who wish to relocate and build their lives here. The reasons, I think, are also very well known. First of all, economic stability and growth. Even during this COVID-19 situation, Germany has proven its leading role as a crisis management. According to the estimation of the European Commission, even though the economic progress is, a disruption in the economic progress is inevitable, Germany's GDP will fall for the year 2020 by approximately 6.5%, whereas other countries are expected to experience a fall by about 10%. So Germany is once again preserving its reputation as one of the strongest economies in the world. Apart from this, I think further sectors like the political stability or the well-equipped healthcare sector, a very trustworthy investment environment for people who just want to invest, and a very high life quality also contribute to its reputation. We are a law firm. We're seated in Germany. We are, among others, specialized in residence law. And we have a very broad network of business partners who are assisting actively our clients in many matters like business management, job recruitment, locating a proper real estate, or investing in business or in real estate. So our experience from the year 2019 has showed us that the vast majority of our international clients were applicants for a blue card. So the dynamic of the blue card is also very clear to us as an operating international law firm. So thank you for shifting the page, Tolga. We go to the key points of the blue card. The blue card is based on an EU directive. It aims to address highly qualified professionals from non-EU states towards EU. Now, Germany has been experiencing a great deficiency of academics, of highly qualified individuals since many, many years. And the country has really very promptly and very constructively implemented all necessary measures in order to enable non-EU citizens to relocate quickly and effectively in Germany. There is a clear legal regulation in German Residence Act under paragraph 18b, section 2. And the blue card, we say we know it's a very important factor for our clients, also enables family reunification. So the spouse of the client is, of course, entitled to join him in the procedure, and they are also entitled to be employed themselves, which is also a very important matter. Children under the age of 18 can also join. So even though so Germany is very successfully coping with this academic deficiency. And since numbers speak better than words, maybe we can shift to the next page, Tolga. Thank you. As you can see, 84.5% of the blue cards that were issued in the EU for the year 2017 belong to Germany. The next country is France with a quotation of 4.3. So this is a very strong indicator of Germany's effort to effectively cope with the problem of the academics deficiency. These numbers are for year 2017. We have really tried to find some more updated ones. We couldn't, but it is very safe to say, also from our experience, that this situation has evolved also for the next 2 years in the same direction. So let's take a look at advantages of the blue card. We can move. Yes, thank you very much. First of all, freedom of movement within the Union. Holders of a blue card are entitled to stay freely in any other European Union country for a maximum of 3 months within a period of 6 months. So this is a ticket for the whole European Union, and it's a very important matter for all our clients. The second advantage is, for me as a lawyer, actually the most important one by far. It's about the legal security that is provided to the holders of blue card. So holders of blue card are entitled by law to receive a permanent residence permit if the legal requirements are met. By this, I mean that the Foreigners Immigration Authority, which is in charge for the particular case, does not have any discretional power to decide upon the case as long as the legal requirements are met. So we have other type of employment residencies, like non-blue card ones or self-employment, where the power to decide upon the case is always at the authority. So maybe the requirements are there, but the authority can still, of course, under adequate justification, either ask for additional documentation or just give an extension, but not grant a permanent residency. So to me, that's the most important aspect. And this entitlement covers not only the permanent residency, it covers also the issuance of the blue card in the first place and the issuance of the visa at the beginning of the procedure at the consulate at the German Foreign Mission. It also covers the right of the spouse. So it's a full package, which is very important. Another aspect of the blue card is that it's the fastest way to go to permanent residency in Germany. I will get back to that in another sheet. Third advantage, no German language skills required. Well, quite honestly, Germany was not always very open to people who couldn't speak its language. So it was not like Holland or Sweden. There has been a shift in the policy starting from 2000. So this aspect is also very favorable for our clients. There are no German language skills required. This does not apply to all professions. There are some professions that need an additional admission in order to exercise it in Germany, for example, being a doctor. And within the framework of this admission, they're also checking the German language skills. But the general rule is no German language skills for example, economists. Moving on to priority examination, also a very important aspect. So in the past, whenever a non-EU applicant was applying for a residence permit, the authority had to examine if there is an EU applicant who has the same credentials and qualifications. And if so, they had to prefer this EU applicant. So as you can understand, this was a very discouraging problem for our clients. And now this is not the case. There is no such examination anymore. Last but not least, accelerated procedure. So Germany is really constantly trying to improve the situation, and starting with the new Skilled Act, which is valid from the 1st of March 2020, it has initiated an accelerated procedure, among others also for blue card holders. I have a diagram about the exact procedure a little later, but the objective is that the whole procedure, which in the past could literally last up to 20 months. So you can understand how disappointing and discouraging this was, not only for the applicant waiting in his home country, but also for the employer in Germany who was waiting for the employee to be able to move to Germany. So let's take a look at the general requirements of the Blue Card EU. First of all, the general requirements: we need a holder of a valid passport, someone who is full of age and has no criminal record. The first important step is the recognized degrees. So this is a tricky one. A German state does not recognize all degrees from all universities, and it does not even recognize from the same universities all degrees. So it's a little tricky. That's the first thing that we always have to clear with our clients. We can do a preliminary examination, but there is always an examination and a whole assessment of the qualification on later stadium also. We need a job offer. It doesn't have to be a working contract that has been signed, but we need a job offer. So what's critical here is that the employer in Germany has demonstrated its willingness to hire that exactly applicant for the exact job. Moving on, the working contract must offer to the applicant an appropriate position. So this position must be corresponded to the qualifications of the applicant. So the applicant has a comparable and equivalent to a German high degree education. Maybe he has like a working experience. The position must correspond to that. I am mentioning this because, for example, a doctor can also work as a pharmacist, but a doctor cannot work as a nurse. So even if we have a doctor who is desperate to move to Germany and is willing to work as a nurse, this is not allowed by law. So the position must be appropriate to the qualifications. We also have a minimum salary. This is increased every year in Germany. For the year 2020, the minimum salary is around 55,000 euros gross annually. And there is a specific category of professions that have a really great shortage of workers. These are from the sector of mathematics, information technology, human medicine, and science. For these categories, the minimum salary is about 43,000 euros gross annually. Apart from these, there are some general requirements that actually are the case for everyone who resides in Germany. People need a residential address, and of course, they need a health insurance. In this case, of course, the working contract already enables the employee to have a public health insurance. So this issue is covered, unless, of course, they want a private one, which is their option. So if all these requirements are met, the card is issued automatically for 4 years. This is only if the working contract is unlimited. Normally, the working contracts in Germany are unlimited. If not, then the card is issued for the duration of the working contract plus 3 months. I am getting back to the new accelerated visa procedure. As I mentioned before, I don't want to go too many details because it can be a little intricate. I just want you to see the deadlines, which are very strict for all involving authorities. We have a central immigration authority. They have to ask the certification authority and the Federal Labor Office for some kind of professions. Both of these authorities have strict deadlines. For example, 2 months. In the past, this could last up to 1 year. And the Federal Labor Office 1 week. If they don't respond at all, then the approval is considered to be given. If everything is fine, the Central Immigration Authority in Germany issues a pre-approval to the German Foreign Mission, so the consulate of the country that the applicant lives. And the consulate is obligated to give an appointment to the applicant within 3 weeks and to decide upon this procedure in further 3 weeks. So you can see how, by making those strict deadlines, this procedure that could last up to 20 months now can be fulfilled in maximum 5 months. Moving on, as I said, the blue card is the fastest way in Germany to go to the permanent residence permit. So the employment contract must, of course, also be met, and we need language skills. If the applicant manages to acquire language skills of the level B1, he can apply for a permanent residency after 21 months, which is by far the fastest it can be. German language can be a little tricky, so if they don't manage to do that, they can also apply after 33 months with language skills of the level A1. Both these levels are always referring to the Common European framework of reference for languages. So if these are exactly what I was talking about before, contract is there, people are of course paying their taxes because they're employees anyway, they have the German language skills, they have a secure livelihood, they are entitled to get a permanent residence permit, which is of course unlimited and is not always directly connected to the specific job. So that was only an introductory information. I hope it was a little helpful. Feel free to contact us, our Managing Director, Klaus Brockhaus, or myself, or our lovely and trustworthy partners from Latitude Consultancy, Mr. Darmanin and Ms. Strasnova, who will also be very happy to support your case. So stay healthy, everyone. Back to you, Tolga.
Danke schön, Eleni.
Sehr gerne.
Now we are moving to Estonia. I think one of the most attractive startup residency programs in Europe. Estonia offers very innovative solutions, and we have Crystal with us. And Crystal?
Yes, hello.
Oh, you are there. Okay. Now the stage is yours, Crystal. You can discuss a little bit about Estonian residency programs, especially for startup residency visa.
Okay, thank you, Tolga, for arranging this kind of event. Good to hear the previous presenters. Everything what we hear is a matter of details. In Estonia, it is the same. The details matter, and the content is most important. But before I start, a few words about Zenit Family Office, whom I'm representing and where I'm a partner, and also about Estonia before I move into the startup visa and startup residency permit. Zenit Family Office is 10 years of age and is a family office in old-time sense. We have 2-3 generations family members behind the table. We are helping with different financial issues, investing, selling companies, financing companies, taxation and residency planning among it. Our clients are both local clients and from international countries outside and inside from European Union. And now about Estonia, Tolga. This is a map. Free movement is not what it used to be last month, but still we expect it to be in place not too long from now. Estonia is a small digital country in Northern Europe. It's located close to, if you look at cities, St. Petersburg, Helsinki, Riga, Stockholm. Moscow is not too far, Vilnius is not too far, and this is the region where we are. A lot of different smaller countries neighboring with bigger ones. So a constant over history, so over centuries, constant games, war games. If you look at the bigger picture, Estonia and Turkey, this is 3,200 kilometers. Used to be 3 hours direct flight. Nowadays, with these Zooms and Teams and no time difference needed to be there. But anyway, we hope the traveling to be back in place as well in order to enable the economy to be more open and for people to do business and travel abroad. When I talk about Estonia, Estonia has a very diverse economy. Over the last decade or even two, Estonia has been promoting innovation and has been put a lot of effort into developing a startup ecosystem. Estonia is proud that it has world-class human capital and unique digital capabilities. And it's ranked in the world also very highly among youngsters, among people coming to Estonia to do business. This digital-minded approach has enabled us to cope with the present virus situation very smoothly, because the digital readiness was there among schools, among offices. Over the last 3 months, I've been to office, I think, two days only. It's allowed to be there, but actually you can do from distance a lot. And of course, I miss my colleagues and clients, but we see and talk to each other more than maybe before. And as a small nation, the nation has been saying that we are rather conservative and not very touchy and open. Tolga has been to Estonia visiting also. Hopefully it's not only the case, but we had a regulation during the virus that you have to be 2 meters away from the other people and not more than 2 people at the same time in one group. And now we say that, okay, we can move back to our previous 5 meter difference. So a small joke from the present virus area, which we are exiting at the moment. Then moving ahead, a small table of content on the next page, showing the next slides, what I'm going to cover. One topic is startup visa. The other is startup residency permit. Shortly, then I'll talk about e-residency, mention about tax residency as well, and about Estonian corporates, which can be of interest and maybe further reading. When we move into startup visa, which is on next page, yes. Startup visa is a rather new thing. 2 years have been the government offering a startup visa. In the principle, it's a long-term visa issued for non-EU founders to grow their startup companies. The startup visas, besides founders, are offered also to the workers working at the startup companies. Over last year or two, 500 founders have been receiving this kind of visa, and more than 1,000 employees have been receiving it. It gives, the startup visa gives entrepreneurs and highly professional employees opportunity to stay in Estonia during 1 year. And it's extended then also half a year. So this is a long-term visa for 1.5 years. It allows to work in Estonia, and it also allows to stay in other Schengen countries for not more than 90 days, but considerably if it's needed. What is the main prerequisite of it, besides the regular documents, what are needed for visa? This company, startup company, has to be approved by startup committee. And the committee has to say that, yes, this company is a startup. In Estonia, currently, more than 1,000 startup companies have been registered by this committee. These 1,000 startup companies employ at the moment some 6,300 people. And the revenue for first quarter of this year was some 200 million euros. Yes. And I got an echo now, sorry. But the startup companies have become important source of Estonian economy and ecosystem. And from here, maybe Tolga, we can go to startup residency permits. The residency permits in Estonia have been available all the time. They have been for employment, they have been for entrepreneurship, for studying. These are the main courses. The latest addition to the startup, to the residency area is a startup residency permit. And why I'm talking about this category only at the moment is that this category is out of the limits that government gives each year to be issued. To illustrate it, in 1 year, 0.1% of Estonian population, this is around 1,300 residency permits can be issued. But the startup residency permits, they go without this limit or quota. And this is one of the advantages, because this year permits quota, it was finished already in January. But this startup residency permit, this goes without quota and is available all through the year. The characteristics of the residency permit for startups is that the same. The startup has to be registered and accepted by the startup committee, the previous one, what I mentioned. And it has to be an innovative, scalable, with a growth potential, and it has to bring a contribution to Estonian environment. The startup investor who is going to invest into a startup, for this person, there is no minimum investment requirements, but it has to come from a private individual. It has to be sizable for the startup, and you have to be able to demonstrate that this brings value to the country. So our advice as a family office to our clients has been that at the minimum it has to be around 50,000 euros of investment to start, to say that it is meaningful for the company, for the country, for yourself to follow it and to be issued a residency permit. One of our clients got just this week issuance of the residency permit for a startup. So even this present situation has not stopped issuance of the permits, although it was put on hold for a month or one and a half. Family members can apply as well, spouses and children until the age of 18. And there is no exact day count how much you live in Estonia, but you have to demonstrate that there is a presence. And the residency permit, what does it allow? It gives the right to leave Estonia, move in Schengen area. It is no obligation to declare taxes unless you be in Estonia less than 183 days. You can work with this permit also in other EU countries and other advantages as well. This shortly is about the startup programs, including visa and residency permit. If I very shortly may, I tell you about e-residency program as well, which is a program that is started, I think, 4 years ago by Estonian government, and it gives you a digital signature and digital right to do business in starting in Estonia, but nowadays also in other European countries. Among Turkish people, this e-residency has been rather popular. Currently, there are some 60,000 e-residents in the world from 160 countries, and they have been establishing also some 6,000 companies. And being an e-resident, it doesn't allow you to travel with this card, but to do business, to open companies, to be a bank client, to sign documents, do online taxes, so many things. So this, even before being even in Estonia with a startup visa residency permit, people may consider being an e-resident of Estonia to get used with the environment and what it offers. Then next page is about tax residency. In Estonia, there is quite straightforward, simple and transparent tax system. Income tax is 20% on worldwide income, and it is applied to people who either reside in Estonia or stay more than 183 days in Estonia, or who declare that their main residence is Estonia. Foreign dividends are exempt, and there is no gift or inheritance tax in Estonia. And for those purposes, Estonia has become interesting place to be a tax resident for people who do business in Estonia, who reside somewhat in Estonia, and who regard Estonia to be that important for them to say that this can be a place where I want to pay taxes. And if you pay taxes and if you are an entrepreneur in Estonia, it would be interesting to see what formats to use in business environment. And the next two slides shortly cover about the possibilities. The main vehicle in Estonia being used for doing business is Estonian limited liability company. The main advantage of this company is that this does not have corporate income tax as long as the income is not distributed to shareholders. So unless you keep it in a company, reinvest it, you don't have to pay taxes, income tax. Then the next page shows a new addition also in Estonian business environment, which is Estonian Limited Partnership Fund. This type of fund is known for private equity investors, venture capital investors. Luxembourg has been having, or New Jersey, something similar. And this is an investment vehicle that is transparent, flexible, and tax efficient, and is suitable for people, investors. It requires to have 2 investors. It is the owner's register is not visible on business commercial register side, and it is it includes pass-through tax treatment, and the taxation is done only on the level of the final private individual. So this is a new thing for private equity and venture capital investors, and if you somewhat have interest, please more details are there. And some nice pictures about Estonia. Capital Tallinn, 400,000 people, with medieval old town and 12th century and nice nature, which is appreciated very much nowadays. So this is shortly about Estonian possibilities, which I regarded to be most important for today's seminar. More details are available upon request. The contacts are here.
And thank you very much, Crystal, for joining us. And it was great to hear about Estonia and what Estonia offers. And now we shall continue with Fatma from London. Fatma, are you with us now?
Yes. Hi, Tolga.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Can you hear me? Good, thank you. How are you?
Well, as you can see, we are busy.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for
without
having me
further
here
ado,
today.
the stage is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I hope everyone is keeping well in these strange times. So today I'm going to be talking about a couple of the UK residency programs. So I am one of the managing directors of Bridge Partners. Bridge Partners is a London-based immigration law practice, specializing in advising corporates, individuals, entrepreneurs, and investor clients from all over the world. I personally myself have 15 years of experience in UK immigration. We provide assistance from a simple business setup to complex corporate structures. We are focused predominantly in providing clients a complete service offering from when they first enter the UK to permanently setting up, either alone or with their family members. From residence by investment programs to citizenship, and sponsorship licenses for businesses sponsoring non-EU citizens, we provide assistance with all UK residency and work permit applications. So this is just a brief introduction to for myself and for Bridge Partners. Today the focus is going to be on recent developments about the UK immigration and also sole representative, which is also known as representative of an overseas business visa, and EC association agreement, which is commonly known as anchor agreement. So briefly, I'm going to comment on recent developments with the UK immigration. Up until a few months ago, the Brexit was one of the hot topics, which has recently been unfortunately overshadowed with coronavirus outbreak. We may not have heard much about the Brexit in the last few months. However, the UK is set to leave the EU on 31st of December 2020. And we expect the government to even further tighten the immigration rules and also introduce a new immigration system for non-UK citizens who are willing to come and work and reside in the UK. One of the most debated aspects of Brexit in the UK was the focus on migration. The system has not changed for a number of years, and Brexit was an opportunity for the government to change this. So we have the new immigration bill, which suggests a point-based system recently approved by the government, which we expected to go to be implemented after Brexit. Once the bill is approved, it will end the EU freedom of movement and introduce a new framework for all citizens to come to the UK, whether they are EU or non-EU citizens. An important change in the bill is the annual salary threshold, because even skilled workers can sometimes earn less than 30k, which will be the new threshold. We will see how this will evolve. Of course, there is also an issue about the new bill being delivered by December 2020, and that's only 7 months away. And currently COVID has taken over everything around the world. So we will see how this progresses. And lastly, there's also an issue about low-skilled workers now. We can see that some of the key workers here in the UK, which has been quite significant to the current crisis, they are low-skilled workers with earning much less than £30,000 a year. So this is also the hot topic at the moment, but we will see how things progress. So if we could move on to, yes, the first residency program. representative of an overseas business, which is also known as sole representative. This is separate to golden visa routes, so it shouldn't be confused. It's more a residency program, and there's a different investment requirements and different requirements apply. So the program is designed for senior employees of overseas businesses who are looking to set up a branch or subsidiary in the UK. As in, the individual must be appointed by the overseas company to come and set up presence in the UK. It is initially granted for 3 years for the main applicant to come and set up the UK operations of the parent company. And if all requirements are met at the end of this period, a further extension of another 2 years will be granted. And upon completion of 5 years, as a representative of an overseas business, the individual and her family members can apply for permanent residency. A permanent residency will be then granted if evidence of business activities have been provided with the application. And to qualify for this visa, there are a number of requirements to be met by the applicant and the overseas business itself. So the parent company must be located outside the UK, and that they should appoint the applicant to be their sole representative. The applicant shouldn't be the major shareholder in the overseas business, and must be the senior employee, and they must have been given full authority to take operational decisions for the UK operations. The UK branch must be engaged with the same business activities of the overseas business. And last but not the least, there is an English language requirement, which is at a basic level of A1. So the applicant is required to have English proficiency at A1 level. Like many other UK residency programs, this route also has some restrictions. I'll briefly go through these restrictions. So to qualify, so the sole representative can't, sorry, I think it's the previous, yeah, it's the same this one. The representative cannot take any other employment in the UK. They must be working for the branch that's set up in the UK. Sorry for the typo, there is actually a permission for study. The studying is permitted as long as it's not the sole purpose of the applicant. So they must engage in representing the overseas business in the UK. There can only be one representative of the overseas business. So if the company is willing to send multiple employees or more employees, then the UK branch must obtain a sponsorship license from the UK Home Office in order to sponsor and bring more employees to work for the UK branch. So the UK Home Office recently announced some minor changes to this program. They've made some adjustments. There was a loophole which was enabling the partners of the majority shareholders to get this visa and bring the owner with them as a dependent. For example, if the major shareholder of the business wanted to come to the UK as the representative of their own business, they used to appoint their partners to be the main applicant, and then they apply as the dependent, and they would still come to the UK. And now this is no longer possible. So there's been some updates on that. Okay, if we can move to the process, the application process. So briefly, you can only apply for this visa from overseas. You can't switch while you're in the UK on another category. And to make this application, the individual or their legal representatives must create an online account with the UK visas and complete an online application form. And once the online application is submitted, then you are required to upload the supporting documents to the system and then book the applicants and its family members appointment at one of the visa application centres to provide their biometrics and submit their passports. There are a number of compulsory documents to be submitted to support the application. Very briefly, it's not limited to the listed documents. The overseas company must provide full description of its business activities. The applicant must provide a detailed business plan to include background information of the overseas entity, its business activities, UK marketing research, and representatives' skill sets in the business field and the financial forecast. Next one is an notarized statement from the overseas company appointing the individual to be their representative, and an affidavit from the applicant to confirm that he or she will not take any other employment whilst in the UK. And lastly, the applicant's employment contract. So the application process could usually take up to 12 weeks. However, it can be fast-tracked to get a decision within 1 week. Given the current circumstances due to coronavirus, this may not be possible. There are significant delays with application processing from outside the UK as well as in the UK, as majority of these application centres are closed. But we're hoping that this will change soon. In rare occasions, the applicant is invited for a telephone interview. And once the application is approved, the initial visa is granted for 3 years and 4 months. But the initial visa in their passport is issued for a month, and the applicant must travel within that period to come and collect their 3 years visa in biometric format. So now moving on to the extension stage. In order to be able to obtain 2 years extension at the end of the initial period of 3 years, the applicant would need to show that the overseas entity still has its headquarters and principle of business outside the United Kingdom, still actively trading, and the applicant is still employed full-time as the representative of the overseas entity and is still required for the employment in question. The applicant must have established and is in charge of the UK branch, and the UK company must be registered with the UK Companies House. They have to provide evidence of the registration, and that the sole representative has generated business of the parent company, principally with businesses in the UK. Because in some cases, some companies appoint representatives to just set up a representative office and they continue their business activities mainly outside the UK. And if they are unable to show any business activities in the UK, then the Home Office may think that there is no need for UK branch to be existent in the UK. And the sole representative must be able to accommodate himself and any independence without recourse to public funds. Before we move on to the next topic, I will briefly comment on the next stage after the 2 years extension. So upon completion of 5 years, if the applicant meets all the requirements, then they are eligible to apply for indefinite leave to remain, which is also a non-permanent residency, to settle permanently in the UK. Once to achieve this, to achieve indefinite leave to remain, in addition to evidence of business activities in the UK, and that the applicant still is the sole representative of the overseas business, he or she also must meet the English language requirement at a higher level, which was initially A1, and to apply for indefinite leave to remain, they must take another exam, which is B1 level. And there's also a residency requirement to qualify for indefinite leave to remain. So if the objective is to achieve indefinite leave to remain at the end of 5 years, the individual must have spent at least 6 months per year in the UK for the 5-year period. And once indefinite leave to remain is achieved, then there will be no restrictions on the applicant's stay in the UK. They can either continue to be the representative of the business, or they can take any other employment if they wish to, or they can be self-sufficient, run their own business. So there will be no restrictions. And at the end of, after obtaining the indefinite leave to remain, you can also apply for British citizenship. And to obtain citizenship, the different residency requirements apply. The earliest you can qualify for the British citizenship is 6 years, at the end of 6 years. So basically 12 months after achieving the indefinite leave to remain, you can qualify for British citizenship. And the residency requirement is that you must spend 9 months per year in the UK if you wish to obtain British citizenship at the end of 6 years. So now moving on to next program, which is the Ankara Agreement. It's actually the EC Association Agreement, which is known as Ankara Agreement. So it has become more popular amongst other citizens than Turkish nationals, as since the Turkish citizenship has been introduced. So majority of non-Turkish citizens are interested also in this program, and they first apply for Turkish citizenship, and then they are seeking to apply under this program to come to the UK. So it became a lot more popular since Turkey introduced its citizenship program. So this agreement was signed in 1963 between Turkey and the EU, which provides the framework for Turkish nationals to work and set up business in the EU. Although it's available in other EU countries, the UK has been the most popular destination across Europe, as there has been many court cases since 2000 that has clarified the conditions and requirements of the agreement, so that Turkish nationals have been able to benefit. The agreement became more popular among the Turkish citizens since 2000, and over 30,000 Turkish nationals have benefited from this program to settle in the UK. If we move on to, yes, the next one. Under this program, Turkish nationals can apply to set up their own businesses and apply for Turkish business person visa, or if they are already in the UK and employed in the UK in under another category, they can continue with their employment. However, today I'm going to be talking about the business person visa, which can be applied from the overseas, outside the UK, and also can be switched in the UK if an individual entered the UK on another visa category. So Brexit, yes, now more than ever, we receive high number of inquiries about the program, and one of the most asked questions is, what will happen to this agreement after Brexit? So unfortunately, there is no clarity on future of Ankara agreement after Brexit yet. We're hoping this will happen in the coming months. As the UK leaves the EU, it will leave international agreements to which it is currently party by virtue of EU membership. However, the government is committed to preserving the relationships governed by many agreements in place with non-EU countries. Following the exit from the EU, the exact arrangements will depend on future UK policy and negotiations reached between the UK and Turkey. So as in, this agreement may be maintained, they may change the requirements, and they may change, they may introduce new thresholds, the investment level, etc., and maintain this agreement for people to benefit even after Brexit, but this is not clarified yet. But for those who are already in this category in the UK, they can continue to apply for further leave to remain and essentially benefit from the permanent residency rights at the end of 5 years and settle in the UK. So if we move on to the next one, the Turkish business person Misa. This is a residency program. It's applied under the Ankara Agreement, which allows Turkish nationals to obtain residency by setting up their own businesses in the UK. It's initially granted for 1 year, and if all requirements are met at the end of initial year, the individual can apply for further leave to remain under the same category, which will be granted for 3 years and then further 2 years. In total, it seems like it's 6 years. However, upon completion of 5 years of residence as a Turkish business person, and if all other requirements are met, the individual can apply to settle permanently in the UK. They don't need to complete the 6 years. To apply under this program, there are certain requirements that must be met. The individual must propose to set up a business in the UK. They can propose to set up a new business or take over an existing business or set up a partnership. They must be genuine entrepreneurs and have previous related work experience or qualifications to demonstrate knowledge in the business field. With the application, the applicant must present a well-prepared business plan, which should include details of the proposed business and UK marketing research, details around the applicant's experience and the background, and financial forecast. Although there is no English language requirement to apply under this program, the applicant is expected to have some level of English proficiency to be able to operate their business in their chosen field. Like many other immigration programs, there's also some restrictions with this program as well. So the individual can only work for their own businesses. They can set up multiple businesses, but they can only work for their own businesses. They can't take any other employment with another company based in the UK, and they can't benefit from public funds until they are granted permanent residency. So moving on to the application process. This is slightly similar to the previous program. The application is made online. Again, the individual or their legal representative can create an account, complete the application form online and submit all the supporting evidence, and then book their appointment for individuals to present their passports and provide their biometrics. There are a number of compulsory documents to be submitted to support the application, but not limited to the following. Full description of the proposed business activities must be provided with the application. Again, a detailed business plan must also be provided, and which should include details of the proposed business activities, UK marketing research, individuals' skill set, and financial forecast to be written in the business plan. The individual is expected to provide evidence of their past experience or qualifications, and we've mentioned that there is no minimum or maximum investment level with this program. However, the individual must provide evidence that they have sufficient funds to start their business in the UK. If the application is made in the UK, the process could take up to 6 months. If it's made outside the UK, it could take up to 12 weeks, but it can be fast-tracked. In rare occasions, the applicant may be called for an interview. And once the application is approved outside the UK, then the applicant will be granted for a 1-month visa in their passport, and they come and collect their 1-year visa in the UK within that 1 month. So if we can move on to planning for the extension, in order to be able to obtain extension of the Turkish business person visa at the end of 1 year, the applicant is required to provide evidence that they've registered the business in the UK, the business has been actively trading, it's made substantial investment to cover the operational and startup cost, they've maintained, they have been actively trading and will continue to do so. The business has generated sufficient income to cover the business and personal living costs, and that they are able to maintain and accommodate themselves and any dependents adequately without recourse to public funds. Before moving on to next slide, I will briefly comment on the next step after the extensions. At the end, upon completion of 5 years as a Turkish business person visa, the applicant and their family members can apply for indefinite leave to remain. To qualify for indefinite leave to remain, they need to provide evidence that the business has been actively trading in the UK for the last 5 years, that they meet the English language requirement at B1 level, and that they meet the residency requirement like other residency programs to basically spend at least 6 months per year in the UK. I think my time is up.
Thank you very much, Fatma, for
Tolga.
your presentation. It was lovely to see you.
And you. Thank you.
I hope you keep safe and healthy in London.
Same. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have Elina Jeselev waiting for us in Vancouver.
Yes, hello, Tolga. Hello.
Oh, hi, Elina. Good morning to you too.
Yes, good morning from cloudy Vancouver. 7 a.m. here, or just about that, or 8 o'clock actually. Thank you so very much for hosting this event, Tolga, and it's so great to see everyone. Hello, colleagues. It's good to see you in this new normal formal, as I call it. How much time have I got, Tolga?
Well, I know you can do it very fast in 10 minutes.
Yes, I'll stream through. I'm ready to roll. So let's begin. My name is Elina Jeselev, and I am a licensed immigration consultant from Vancouver, British Columbia. I represent Bridge Canada Immigration, and we've been doing this for quite some time, helping individuals, businesses, business persons to make Canada their home. If we can get to next slide, please. I mentioned that we represent you before the government authority, which is IRCC. We help with permanent resident status, business class, which I will focus on today, family sponsorships, and what we call temporary residents. Those are students, workers, and visitors to Canada. Of course, there are travel restrictions at in effect at this time. We also help with citizenship, and here I would like to state that I get this question quite a lot from clients. Can I get a Canadian passport if I invest in Canada? And the answer to that, yes, after you become a permanent resident of Canada. Just like US has green card as a pathway to citizenship, so does Canada. You have to become permanent resident first before applying and qualifying for citizenship. Okay, so business class. 3 main categories. That's the Quebec investor program, and that's the only program offering Canadian permanent residency in exchange for a passive 5-year term investment of 1,200,000 Canadian dollars. This option can be financed by financial institutions. However, this program, with this program, you have to show you intent to reside in Quebec, and as well as be finance ready. Provincial nominee programs. With provincial nominee programs, those are more popular programs. Currently, most business programs in Canada are designed to attract investors who will provide active management, not passive investment, as mentioned with the previous Quebec investor program. And that means investors have to either buy or start a new business and actively manage it. So provincial nominee programs, we have provinces, each managing its own program: Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Ontario, and BC-PNP. Since we are in British Columbia and due to time restrictions, I will focus on BC-PNP. I will also talk about startup visa program, and that is for innovative startups to scale internationally, as my colleagues Kristen mentioned, and I think also Fatma. So British Columbia nominee program, that's BCPNP for short, designed for high net worth business people who can invest in and actively manage a business in British Columbia. It is point-based, as most provincial programs in Canada. It has 3 streams. We'll focus on 2. Applicants must also have the required personal and investment funds. Options for corporations looking to expand into British Columbia, and they may bring key employees, up to 5, into that business. Next slide, please. So BCPNP base program, that's the main program that has traditionally been the main program in BC. Personal requirements, personal net worth of at least 600,000 Canadian dollars. That must be verified by a qualified supplier. Those are accounting firms such as Deloitte, KPMG, that will verify applicants' net worth to establish that it has been legally obtained. A new requirement, relatively new requirement, the applicant must be able to demonstrate English or French abilities. And that's done through a test such as IELTS or CELPIP, Canadian English Test. And as you can see, it's at basic level. CLB4 is quite basic level. What are the business and management experience requirements? Well, the applicant has to have 3 years of experience as an active business owner, manager of their own business, or they must demonstrate at least 4 years of experience as a senior manager in a company, or it can be a combination of the 2. Next slide, please, Tolga. Business, job, and investment requirements. The applicant is required to own at least 1/3, that's 33.3% of the business in BC. If proposed ownership is less than that, then the minimum investment must be 1 million in the equity of that business. So what does it mean 1/3 of the business? It means that you can buy a business in combination with other applicants that also each must qualify under the individual and business criteria. And it means also that you can partner with a local to purchase a business. Can you hear me? Tolga, can you confirm that you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Tolga, can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Elena.
Excellent. Okay, I just was not sure if I'm still online or not. Okay, I shall continue. The process, registration, invitation, application, leading to work permit and then PR. So basically we register you in the portal. If you can just slightly get back to the previous slide, please. Thank you. Upon invitation to apply, if you score high enough in the system, BCPNP will invite you to apply with complete documents encompassing all the required documents. Once you're approved, then the BCPNP will issue a work permit, which would allow the qualified applicant to arrive in BC and start their proposed business. Once they establish that they have met all the criteria, hired Canadian, invested the required funds, they will then be eligible to apply for permanent residency. And that's what we do at that stage in about a year and a half, 2 years later from the time that the applicant arrives in BC. Next slide, please. So we also have a pilot project, and I'll briefly talk about it. It's designed for entrepreneurs who wish to start a business and settle in the regional community. That's a population under 75,000 people. That's a small town. What are the requirements? Conduct an exploratory business trip to this community, meet with the community, find out what their needs are, and propose a business plan. The minimum investment is $100,000 in eligible business investment. That's very unprecedented. That's very low. And the applicant must have at least 51% ownership in that business. Okay, so they can partner up with a local community member. However, they must own the majority of the business. Next, please. The startup visa, that's the last program that I was going to talk about. That's for innovative young companies and the entrepreneurs. And it involves Canadian government approved designated entities. Who are those? Those are venture capital funds, angel investors, business incubators. The premise behind this program is that you would be able to establish your startup in business with the help of a local business community. And their support is required. You have to talk to them, you have to present your business idea, and you have to also secure the required minimum investment from them, as well as your own funds. What's involved in this program? Well, it's expedited immigration process. Again, very fast, can happen very fast. First, the applicant obtains a work permit while their permanent residence application is in process. And that can include up to 5 founders. Next slide, please. Individual criteria, successful and proven entrepreneurs. It's not for basically for someone who just got an idea. You have to be, you have to have a track record. Level English, level 5 in English or French, that's intermediate. You have to demonstrate that you would be able to run your startup. clean criminal and medical records, that's equal for everyone, all new immigrants, completed at least 1 year of post-secondary education. And that's, again, designed in mind for young entrepreneurs who do not necessarily have the highest education, yet they're able to be economically successful. Letter of support, as I mentioned, and also must own at least 10% of the qualifying business. Business criteria for the company has to be incorporated, business plan, of course, with market validation and all the key components. Demonstrate market validation for the product and service, and business has to have reasonable potential for financial gains and returns. Next slide, please. That concludes my presentation. This is very brief given the time constrictions. You can see and jot down the contact information. I would be happy to provide you with more detailed information and assess your eligibility under any of these programs. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Elena, for joining us from Vancouver. Now it concludes our e-conference. We have question and answers session, and we will run it through Uzak Rota YouTube channel. But before that, I would like to thank all our presenters, our audience, and particularly Uzak Rota for providing us this platform and making this happen. And if we have questions again on Uzak Rota YouTube channel, we will be happy to answer some questions. Probably we have 5-10 minutes to answer. Okay, I see one question. Are there citizenship programs in South Africa and South America? As far as I know, there are no programs available. However, each country may have a citizenship route for the investors under the grant of citizenship under exception. So each country needs to be looked for this if you are going to make a significant investment. And if that country allows that, that's fine. But on the other hand, the programs all presented today has all structured programs. They have some mechanics to make the application from the time you apply until you get the citizenship. All the routes are known and steps are predicted. So the citizenship by investment industry, there are no programs in South America or South Africa. So in which country is the process running fastest? I have another question. Obviously, Vanuatu, as Laszlo mentioned in his presentation, is one of the fastest program, as well as Turkey. I would say quite fast processing. So Vanuatu, Turkey, they have both quite fast processing times. And the remaining of the programs like Caribbeans, we always say, okay, standard time, you should consider 6 months. It can be less than that, a little bit more than that, depending on your circumstances, application file, etc. But in the industry, 4 to 6 months is quite reasonable time frame for applications. And if you have any questions you want to direct to our presenters, please mention either the country name or presenter's name so I can direct. Okay, I see one question here. If the startup visa is not successful, what will be the consequences? Well, in Canada, when you apply, well, Elina maybe can answer this. When they apply for startup, what after that, when they are not successful, what will happen? Elina?
Yes, thank you, Tolga. So basically the success of your business, or rather the your permanent residency, is not contingent upon success of your business. That's the positive part. Once you obtain PR, whether or not your startup takes off and you know, becomes successful and scales internationally, it is irrelevant at that point. So they will not strip you of the PR status.
So basically, once they are approved for startup visa and they are granted
A permanent residency,
under
yeah.
startup visa, then it's not depending anymore on the business.
Correct. The success will not be measured, in other words, and it will not affect their permanent residence status.
Okay, Crystal, are you there?
Yes, here.
Well, for Estonia, can you answer this question for Estonia, please?
Mm-hmm.
They apply for startup visa.
Yes.
They got their residency, but the business fails. What will happen?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is startup world. First of all, you need to diversify. We have been advising always clients not to put investment risky like that, just to select only one investment, but to make a portfolio, even 2, 3, 4. And if something happens with one investment, you can have another one, and you have to reapply or say that, okay, this investment went bad, but I have another investment and I would now like to have a startup visa residency permit through that company. Okay. But in reality, it's not that well checked if it's valid and it's not cancelled even if the company is not doing fine at the moment. But if you're going to prolong it, then it's a question, is it company up and running?
Okay, thank you, Crystal.
But there is another risk that you invest into the startup company and you are not approved by government as an individual. A minor risk, but there have been some cases. So then the content is foremost, you have to want to invest into this company anyway, and the residency issue comes along.
Okay, thank you very much for your input. And you can always send your questions to us at info@internationalresidency.com, or all our presenters, they share their contact information. And we would like to thank you again for your participation. To all our presenters, special thanks to our audience and to Uzak Rota Travel Summit for this opportunity. Thank you.